Hey, welcome back to the Crash Space. My name is Andre. Thanks so much for tuning in. It is Tuesday, the 2nd of June. We decided to drop in for a fun stream. This wasn't exactly planned, but we had the time this evening, so we decided why not. So hopefully this finds you well. 3 weeks ago, we did a stream on the channel, also on a Tuesday evening, if I'm not mistaken. We showed off this card game that I had technically had a bit of, and I picked up somewhat recently, called Ashes. We played Ashes Ascendancy, which is a new product that came out, I want to say this year, I'm pretty sure this year, maybe just a couple months ago, which is in a long-running kind of introduction of PvE or cooperative play to this sort of like Ashes, the card game that's been around since like 2016. Now, we're actually diving deeper back into the back catalog. This is called the Blight of Neverset. This came out, I want to say in like 2022, 2023 is my guess. Probably 2023 onwards. 2023, 2024 is my guess. And this is something that's like similar to what we showed off. In fact, we're barely going to have to reteach the rules. But this is actually the earlier version of what we played, which we played against something called a Dragonborn. This is called a Chimera, and Chimeras are the proto-Dragonborns. This is what they were before. Technically, now Ashes Ascendancy has rebooted the system. This is technically not even Ashes Ascendancy. This is technically Ashes Reborn. And while that's kind of confusing, all the cards are the same. Things functionally work out the same. So what I did is after the last stream where I streamed, again, it was like 3 weeks ago at this point, I decided to pick up a whole lot of the back catalog. And so I actually did pick up everything. I could find it. It wasn't that expensive, but I picked up all of the Ashes Reborn catalog in terms of all the characters, all of the Chimera. The one thing I don't have is time dice, and they're really hard to find. So I have the time dice card, but I don't have any time dice. So apparently a lot of the stuff that I bought I can't actually use, as much as you could just like put a d6 in or use any other dice and just, you know, map it in a way that makes sense. But regardless, we have a lot of stuff to catch up on. So there were 6 different chimeras that were released, and each chimera comes with 2 of these aspect decks and then the cards needed. The first Chimera was the Red Rains Chimera, which is the box that you have to get because it's the one that have all of these dice. It technically has this board, as much as I haven't been using this board, and it has the rules document to some extent. Since then, again, and even in that box, also not only did you get all this stuff to play that, you also got all of these heroes, these Phoenixborn, and they came with this pre-constructed deck. So technically what we have here is a pre-constructed deck of 27 cards, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think 27 cards. And technically 4 different Phoenixborn. None of these were new, but they did each come with their own unique version of a unique card. So notice how this has the Phoenixborn's face in it, which means I only can play these cards if I'm Saria. Now, this technically was the second ever time that Saria got a unique card. Saria originally came out of the original core set, and so she had her own unique card. So now introducing new unique cards, the rule is if you're going to play Saria, you can play up to 3 of her unique cards, whether they are willpower or the other one or some combination thereof. So you have to make a decision, but you're only allowed to play 3 of her unique cards. And it's the same for all these characters. So these characters have existed before, but they come with their own unique cards, and we get a deck of 27 charm magic cards. And the cool thing about this is that like it's technically a pre-constructed deck. You can just pick it up and play it very easily. All you do is you pick a hero and then you take their cards and shuffle into the deck, and then you're good to go. So there should be 4 slightly different experiences, largely going to be the same themes about using charm dice and figuring out what's in here, as much as their 3 cards will change. I've actually been really enjoying this. I've been playing a fair bit of this off camera. I've been working through the boxes slowly. This is the Blight of Neverset, which again was the second one to come out. It was the first one after the original like Learn to Play box, the Red Rains Chimera. And I'll be honest, the Red Rains Chimera wasn't my favorite. I thought it was like pretty straightforward. And ever since then, they seem to have gotten a lot more interesting, which I think is going to be the same also with the Dragonborn that we played on stream like 3 weeks ago. She was relatively straightforward, you know, not much going on, except now things are a lot more interesting. In fact, there's conjurations when it comes to the villain or the Chimera, so we have a lot more things to worry about. It's gonna be fun. I'm into this. I don't know too much about the different magics. This is called charm magic, and I should be able to pull this up if I'm not mistaken. But if you ask me like what are the different kind of traits of each of these types of magic, I don't know. I don't think we showed these cards last time. I pulled all these cards in, so we're gonna be able to show them on stream, which is great. But charm magic says, again, you have the 3 sides. It has the same distribution. So just to go over this in case you don't know the rules, you have to roll these 10 dice at the beginning of your turn. We're playing only charm magic, so we're gonna be rolling 10 of these pink dice, and with the sides that they're on, determine the sort of like how good strong these dice are, and then certain cards will have certain costs of higher or lower dice. Okay, so that bottom shape, which is the sort of like kind of triangle with a circle in it, that's called your basic side. 2 of the 6 dice have that, if I'm not mistaken. The middle side, that's called the class side. That's this heart. It has 3 of the 6 sides are on that side, so that is the most common. And then there's the power side, which is the snake, the curled snake. We only have 1 of this on the d6, so that's the rarest. It's a 1 in 6, and that is called your power side. Importantly, as it says there, everything can be used as something below it, but nothing below it can be used upwards. So good dice rolls are better. However, we can always kind of rearrange our dice. You have a lot of power to rearrange your dice. Now, the dice power effect, that's unique. So this is only because we're playing Charm, and you don't have to play monocolor. These precons are all monocolor. So as a side action, we can spend one of our power dice to place this die on a target unit an opponent controls without a Charm die on it. And while the die is on that unit, the attack value is reduced by 1, and then you place this in exhausted pool at the end of the round. So Charm die does charm whoever you put this on, and you lower their attack stat. I'm assuming that's really great, because in this PvE mode, you generally want to be trading up like 1 to 2v1 into a lot of minions and a lot of the aspects that the Chimera has. So lowering their attack stat can matter. I don't know if we're going to use this on tempo to lower the attack stat of a character or an aspect so it hits us for less damage. If we start playing today with Maeoni, she has 20 health, which is like, I think the biggest maybe in the whole card pool, but maybe there's like 22 or something. But anyways, that seems fine. Charm seems okay. Hey, Metapher. Hey, dude, I'm here. I don't play this anymore, but I love this game. Did you play these, like the Chimeras? Because I'm picking these up, 3-4 years in the future, and they've been a really fun exploration. Hey, Pickord, how's it going? Ashes is a great game. I have enjoyed it. In fact, what this is wanting me to do is play more PvP, because that's a really weird thing about these products is that these decks are a legal deck if you play PvE against a Chimera or a Dragonborn, or PvP if you play against your friend. And that's really weird. And I think I'm learning relatively smoothly when I pick up a card to be like, oh, this card is not great in PvE, but is good in PvP. And not so much vice versa. But it is an interesting thing that this is technically a legal deck for competitive play as much as it is for this. And there's this simple translation. So most cards that say like an enemy Phoenixborn, you translate that to an enemy Chimera. And certain effects will work out better or be more valuable. We'll find out together. But we're going to be diving into this again. This is the second ever Chimera. It seems to be a fair bit more interesting. Chimeras work slightly different than Dragonborns, but not in a way that we have to reteach it again. I'll probably be talking about like some basic teaching aspects when we set this up, but it is relatively straightforward. I think you can pick it up if we play. If you have not watched the stream that we did 3 weeks ago, which will be linked in the description, in that one, I do a full teach, as much as Dragonborns are slightly different. The one thing they do say, mind you, retroactively, now that Dragonborns are out, is they tell you to play these Chimeras, if you want, with the exhaustion rule of the modern Dragonborn instead of the exhaustion rule here in the Chimeras. For what it's worth, I don't think the exhaustion rule matters. So far, it hasn't mattered in any of my plays. And exhaustion rule for us when we're playing solo means that if we ever deck out the Chimera's deck twice, if we deck them out twice, it gets worse. Technically, mill is like a thing you can do in this game, and it is a win condition. And so to translate that into the Chimeras, there's technically a way that it matters. I don't think it matters. As much as we do have one of the mill archetypes, I think Saria technically is a mill deck. I'm just not going to put the card there because I don't think it matters. If we ever deck out the deck twice, we'll look up what happens. But yeah, I just don't think on basic difficulty, we're going to have to care about that. I played the OG before it was like an LCG, traded the OG core box for Ticket to Ride Markham and Ticket to Ride Nordic. Like Markham as in Markham, Ontario? D20 taught me how to play a month ago or refreshed me, so I'm down to learn more from your stream. Okay, cool. I'm only like 80% sure we're doing it right, but it is relatively straightforward. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we have to pick one of these 4 characters. Technically on the thumbnail, there's 2 of them, but we can really go anyway. So in chat, if you want to like decide which way we go, do just let me know. So I'll show you the characters that we have. Again, at the end of the day, the deck will be, again, the same 27 cards. Only the thing that will change is the character's ability and the 3 cards from their deck they'll add to our to our deck. Firstly, we have Saria Guideman. I really enjoyed playing Saria back in the day. She is a mill deck, and technically mill is an archetype you can play in PvE, but I don't think we have enough cards in this deck to make it a bespoke build deck. She has 20 health, which is a lot. Battlefield 5 is okay. Spellboard 4 is probably fine. Her Heart's Pull side action exhausts and uses a class die to draw 1 card, and if you do, you may choose a target player to discard 1 card off the top of their draw pile. Now, drawing card in any card game is usually really, really good. That's usually quite strong. However, this is only good in this game when it comes to like milling the opponent. That's very important. But generally, the thing with this game is you're limited with how many dice you have. So just having like unlimited card draw does not actually translate in any meaningful way in most decks, because at the end of the day, once you spend your 10 dice, you can't really play any more cards in your hand. So drawing a card is okay because it can give you options, but it doesn't give you the sort of like card advantage you'd expect in games like Magic or Marvel Champions and stuff like that. Anyways, she's cool. She has some really good, I really liked her precon deck in the original deck. We have Astrea. I think she's like one of the control Phoenixborns, if you want to like talk about card game terms. Battlefield 4 is a lot smaller. Spellboard 4. I think Battlefield 4 is probably the smallest this game gets. Maybe there's a Battlefield 3, but 4 seems small. 19 health is a lot. Mind you, 16 is the lowest, 20 is the highest, so 19 is still pretty good. Now, she's a main action called Beguile, which only spends a basic die and exhausts, and says place an exhaustion token on a target unexhausted unit. That is a busted good ability, particularly in this PvE mode. Because if you ever exhaust an aspect, that means it won't attack you, which is how you lose the game to some extent, but also it won't counter. So when you attack that unit, as much as the Neverset Blight could block for it, it doesn't do damage back. So exhausting units is absurd. Like spending one die to basically subdue a unit seems very, very, very good. You're doomed to fail again and again. She seems really strong. Maeoni, also from the original core set, Battlefield 4, Spellword 5, 20 health, so the tankier ones. Command Strike, side action, costs 2 basics to choose an unexhausted unit you control and deal damage to a target unit equal to the chosen unit's attack value. So if I'm not mistaken, Maeoni had this like big Viper card she could play. It was like a big snake, and the snake just got bigger and bigger the more you fed things or things died around it. And then that thing would have like 20 attack or whatever, and you can use this to just basically knock out anything. Seems like a really strong ability. Like just knocking out aspects, knocking out opponents' units are very, very powerful in this board, in this game, in this version of this game, let alone Phoenixborn as a whole, I think. So that's interesting. And finally, we have Leo Sunshadow. Battlefield 6, the biggest we have in this pile. Spellboard 3, pretty small. 19 health, not bad. Summon Glowfinch. So he has a unique conjuration. So as a side action, you can spend a basic to place a Glowfinch conjuration on your board. And the Glowfinch is this little guy. You only have one of them. It has unit guard, so I can block for other units. It only has life 1, so it's just going to get in the way and die. And last request, when this unit is destroyed, you may choose a target player, which will be the Chimera, to discard the top 2 cards off their draw pile. Now, again, mill archetypes don't seemingly translate well into Chimera unless you build, I think, an exclusive mill deck, which this isn't. This is just like a nice charm deck. But that is kind of fine, I think. I think paying 1 resource for a conjuration that can block is like okay, I guess. But again, I'm learning this game, so I'm not 100% sure. Does anybody have a strong opinion which way we go? I think all of these 4 are good candidates. And so far, I actually like a lot of the charm magic from what I've seen. Markland, Ticket to Ride Markham is just a bunch of noodle shops between stops. I mean, yeah, it's the GO train, I think. Yeah, we're gonna be able to play most of them. I guess where we want to start is the thing. These are the conjurations that'll be in our deck. Our first 5 is meant to be these 2 cards that summon things. 2 of these things out here. We're gonna have 2 allies, and the Rose Gardener is like the coolest ally I've seen in this game in a long time. Just really cool decks. And then we'll start with one of our unique cards from these 4. I'm just gonna chill for like 5 seconds for stream chat. I know it's not too many people watching at this point, but otherwise we'll just go and we'll probably just like try Astrea, I guess. Two streams? Joel, how's it going? Yeah, this is a 2 stream. This is a 2 stream day. We did a Neverner stream in the afternoon, and like my partner's out at a movie. I'm just at home. I'm like, I wanted to play this anyways. Might as well just turn the lights on. It is pretty warm in here, I'll be honest. That's the only other thing. We'll see how long we survive. Okay, I think we're just gonna be Astrea, which seems straightforward. That ability looks really good. Maybe not the most interesting, but again, spending 1 die to exhaust an aspect seems really good. So all we do is we take her. She is our character. We'll put her down here, I guess. We have her 3 cards called Judgment. This card is absurd, unbelievably good. Firstly, is that how you spell Judgment? I don't think I've ever spelled Judgment like that in my life. I thought there was an E between the G and the M. Judgment is an action spell. It costs a main and a side action. It costs you 2 basic, and you also have to discard another card from your hand. And it just says destroy all units. Let us replace the vexing existence with one worthy of me. Now that seems really good, because at the end of the day, we'll just have 4 aspects in front of us. We can just delete all of them. The problem is you have to get to this. And so that means you have to be basically taking main actions. Because if you ever pass while there is like aspects on the table, or sorry, while there are aspects unrevealed, technically bad things happen to you. So like the timing of this is weird, but this seems like such a busted good card. It has to be in our first 5. At least this is the recommended first 5. And then the other 2 will be shuffled into the deck. So for those who don't know, first 5, how it works in this game is that when the game starts, instead of mulliganing and drawing a hand, you can pick 5 cards from your deck and they can start in your hand. They have to be 5 different cards. And so whenever you buy these like products, they recommend what the first 5 is. I don't know what it actually does in the product. I think you have to look online, but there is like recommended online for sure. Judgment in the USA is the USA version? Really? So I'm spelling it the UK or Canadian way. That makes a lot of sense, because this looks hella weird to me. Jugment. Strange. All right, that's mostly it. We'll clear these out and we'll go. So I've said this before, and I say this not as like a brag, but I do think this game is pretty easy. We are still going to just start on standard level 1, like all the basic stuff. But if this goes good enough, we're just going to crank it up to a higher level difficulty. And that's a really cool part about this game in theory, is that there's a lot of ways to increase the difficulty. So firstly, there's player 1 and 2-player versions of this. I think these are now double-sided, which is a change, I think, from the first Chimera. I might be wrong about that. But one side is for 1 player, one side is for 2 player, which is great. So we're starting here on the Blight of Neverset. Not too much we have to learn. I guess the other choices we have to make is between which of these two aspects do we want to try out. One is called the Thorn aspect. The other one's called the Bloom aspect. If you want to pick one in chat, we'll use that one. But they do technically attack in different ways. One cares more about bleeding. The other one cares more about like growing things like the Scarlet Seeds, I think. I'm just going to shuffle these both up. This one's Thorn, the other's Bloom. You can choose your path. We'll go that way. Again, this is the Chimera board. It's functionally the same. It's you don't need the board to play. There's no reason to have the board if you don't want it. And the board is like slightly crooked. It doesn't sit flat. So we'll fight with that all night, I guess. It's weird the random differences. Well, there's a lot of like small differences, like center, we spell different. We put the U in a lot of things. But ER verbs are often, or sorry, words are often RE verbs. But yeah, Judgment I didn't know. Stream shared, thank you, Metapher. All right, we're just gonna roll a die. So if it's I don't know, that's weighted. Hold on, these are weighted. We're gonna roll the D10, mind you. Okay, for this, you use a D10 to work the Chimera. Dragonborns are a bit more elegant. It's been a bit, so I've forgotten over the last 3 weeks because I've mostly been playing against Chimeras. But against the Dragonborn, I think you just roll one of her dice, the one Dragonborn we have so far. But technically, this is provided D10 that it tells you what the thing does. So I was gonna say even odd, so we're doing odd. So I think we're playing against Blight. Okay. So we shuffle this up, the Blight of Neverset. We're starting standard level 1, so as easy as it can possibly be. We have to give ourselves 4 aspects, and it'll be a 1, 2, a 2, and a 2. So the backs tell you what they are. Generally, the bigger the number, or the bigger the number of things on it, the harder it is. And then technically we shuffle this. And so these will largely be revealed from left to right. Our goal is to defeat the aspects. Whenever the aspects go down, they have a number on it called blood. And when we defeat that aspect, that's how much damage the Blight of Neverset takes. As much as we can just also strictly attack the Blight of Neverset. You're right, it is a D12. It's not a D10, it's a D12. That actually is important. Rolling 12 is pretty bad. That goes here. This is our hand. And we are actually off. It's just that simple. I think I've shuffled this enough. Again, if you're tuning in, we'll try and do a good job explaining what this is. Oh, hold on. I need to change our name, which is going to break because I don't think I have set this up right. So we're Astrea. We have 19 hit points. Technically, this is us. The one thing you have to remember, and our action is not going to be super useful during the first turn, it says we can spend an action and one of our basic die to place an exhaustion token on the target unexhausted unit. So we can just exhaust an aspect, which seems like it's going to be good. What I've really enjoyed is there's a lot more aspects that have like counters on them that like you really have to deal with than just waiting for them to attack. I saw like a really common play pattern when I played against the first Chimera, which is you waited for them to attack you and then you attack back because they didn't counter. But now there's actually a bunch more cards that have immediacy where like, oh, you have to deal with them now or it's going to be bad. And I appreciate the heck out of that. When are we getting the Ashes Reborn channel, Andre? Surely you can add another evening of streaming on the road. I definitely can't. How's it going, Lucy? I think we're just going to do this here for a bit. It's been fun. And I think it's like kind of the same overlap. Like, I don't know if an Ashes channel can sustain itself. Hopefully it can, but I don't play Ashes as much as all the other games that we support. All right, I forgot to get the tokens. They're on the other side of the table. Give me 1 second. Did you play this weekend, Lucy? It's going to get caught up in the grid stream from earlier when I got home from locals. And now I have this. Yeah, it doesn't stop. 2-stream weekend is, or 2-stream day is kind of weird, honestly, but keeping me entertained, I'll take it. Okay. So the first thing we do is we pick in our first 5. We've chosen it. So all we're going to do here is roll the dice. These cards are a bit bright on the lighting here. I don't play with cards this white, but I guess we will. If they're very, very bright, we'll deal with them. And we'll roll a dice and see what we're working with. All right. So in terms of the dice, we have, again, 3 sides. Does this not zoom in? Oh, it does. Of course it does. So we got 1 power die. That's not super common. We have 4 class die. So all in all, a pretty bad roll, I'd say. That's happened before on this camera. I think our first roll last game, but like rolling full 5 basic is kind of difficult. The average roll, again, the power die is 1 in 6. The class die is only 2 in 6. So like rolling 5 class die, or sorry, 5 basic die is a bit strange. Okay. That's it. So we go first. We have the first action. Again, how this game works is you basically take an action and a side action. You don't have to take a side action. You can take one before or after you take your main action. You always have to take a main action. You can pass as a main action, but if you ever pass as a main action while there's face down aspects, there's a punishment. You don't want to do the punishment. So this is Judgment. We're going to talk about the 5 cards in our hand. Judgment we probably won't play for a while. In fact, we probably have to commit to this really early in the turn, if at all, because this just says destroy all units, and that destroys all our units too. So if we commit units to the table and play this, seems like it'll be a mistake. Now we have two allies, and allies are my favorite part of this game. We have the Chimera Charmer. It's a bit expensive, cost 1/1/1, all three kinds of die, and that's the symbol for our main action. We only have one a turn. It has 2/4/2, so 2 attack, 4 life, 2 recovery. I like recovery. Recovery's fun. And it has 2 of these traits. These traits are only active when the thing is not exhausted, but that should be fine. It says when this unit comes into play, you may choose a charm die in your exhausted pool and resolve its dice power without paying its cost. So that's really nice because part of its cost is, playing one of those big dice, and that will allow us to play a die, put that die on a target and give it -1 attack. Now that's only good when there's something revealed, so we're probably not going to play the Chimera Charmer immediately because that seems silly. Then it has imbued. If this unit's attack value is increased by 1 for each unit an opponent controls with a charm die on it, that's cool. That can actually be a huge number. However, notably, this doesn't have to be attacking that card. It always has +1 for every charm die on an opponent's unit. So that's good. Good stats. I'm not sure what a 3 die card should cost or what its stats should be, but this seems pretty good. We now have Rose Gardener, which is like such a cool card. This just cost a main action and it costs a basic die, so as cheap as you can get. Now 1/1/1 means this thing will die to just about everything that comes its way. However, it has this prune action. When this unit comes into play, you may remove a status token from a target unit or spell. That might not matter. That's actually really good because a lot of these aspects will come in with these targets, with these what are they called? Status tokens. And if you clear those off, you can actually like cut abilities down, which is cool because we're technically gardening against this Audrey beast. And then it has this amazing cultivate action, which as far as I'm understanding, you can do it every single turn. Side action, change 1 charm die in your active pool to a side of your choice. Like this thing just fixes your die pool. And I don't think side actions are only once per round. I think you can just hit this button over and over again. Maybe someone can correct me on that. But I think if this thing is not exhausted, you should just be able to take that side action all the time because it does not exhaust. Like such a cool side action. The other thing we have, which is probably where we're going to start here because most of our cards want to interact with the table, is we can summon a Shimmerwing and we can summon a Bastion Badger. So Shimmerwing, again, we put this down and we summon it for a main action and one of our class die. We draw a card and place a Shimmerwing. The Shimmerwings are kind of not good, but if you collect 2 of them, they get really, really good. So the Shimmerwing is a 0/2/0, which is like not really actionable stats, but as a ritual flame, so we can spend a basic die and the main action to discard this unit and another Shimmerwing. And if you do, we get to put an Eternity Flame Conjuration onto our battlefield. So we have to get basically 2 turns in a row where a Shimmerwing sticks, and then we can spend an action to turn our 2 Shimmerwings into an Eternity Flame, which is a 3/3/0 that says when this unit comes into play, you may destroy a unit your opponent controls with a charm die on it, and if you do, deal 2 damage to the opponent's Phoenixborn, which for this will be the Chimera. That's absurdly good. That's really, really good. But because we only have 1 card in our hand that can summon a Shimmerwing, this is a 2-turn play, but probably something we want to work on. The other card we can summon is our Summon Bastion Badger, which is our defensive unit. This costs a bit more. It costs a main action and 2 die, a basic and a class. We put a Bastion Badger into our Conjuration, and then you may raise a Charm class die in your active pool 1 level. So that's good because our dice are not very good. The Bastion Badger, we can have, I think, 2 of them. It's a 1/3/0, which is not amazing, but it may guard for everybody. It has unit guard and has exploit. When this unit is in battle with a unit with a charm die on it, attack value of the unit is increased by 2. So as long as we're blocking against something that's been charmed, this is a 3/3/0, which is pretty good for 2 dice, as much as it doesn't have recovery. Notably, it says in battle, so it's not when it's attacking, it's anytime that it's in battle. So if it's unit guarding, if it's blocking, all that sort of stuff. All right, that's us. I think generally, I don't know if we want to slam characters on the table. These characters interact with things. So I think we're just going to start and keep it really simple. I honestly don't know if we have enough space on this table. We might have to zoom the camera out, but I think we're just going to do the Summon Bastion Badger and put this on the table. Yeah, I think I have to zoom the camera out slightly, but Summon Bastion Badger, we'll just put this on the table as our main action and we won't take a side action and we'll pass the turn. Okay, so the way that this works is we have to look at the behavior. This is the Blight of Neverset's behavior card. So at the beginning of its turn, all the Blight does is it rolls one of its Blight dice, one of the Chimera dice, and it rolls the D12. And based off of what it rolls, that's what it does. It's that simple. Now this die on 2 or 3 of the 6 sides, so half chance, this will be this sort of Chimera die, this like Red Rains die. That gets slotted in here. Once the Chimera has 5 of these will be downgraded and the Chimera will get this Red Rains token. I think this is what it's called. Once it has 3 of these Red Rains tokens, it basically does its ultimate and it gets stronger. This is a bit more convoluted, slightly more complicated than how Dragonborns work. Dragonborns, their like behavior just changes every round. It goes up, but this technically will go up only once it hits 3 red rain tokens, which requires us to roll these die 15 different times to be in the right conjuration or the right orientation, excuse me. But there's also ways they can get tokens from its cards and from its behavior as well. So we don't know how quickly it will happen, but regardless, it rolls 2 of these. Locals is odd because my corp deck is combo PD, which nobody wants to play against until I have a deck tech for it. And I don't have a runner tech for it, so I don't want to practice. So do you just like ask them to borrow their decks? That's I think what I would do. All right, so basic die, and we rolled a 2. 2, it's pretty sleepy. It just says reveal. So all it does is it takes a main action, which is reveal. So we just flip the leftmost face down aspect, and we get proliferate. So this is no different than how aspects work in the Chimera. It comes in, has attack stat, a life stat, a blood stat. It has text, and eventually this thing will attack us. It has a mapping. So you see there's that like claw on the right side. This means that this thing will try and target our rightmost unit. Now, just not at all like when you play Phoenixborn in PvP. In PvE, just like a Dragonborn, whenever you place a unit on your table, it has to go left or right. So whatever comes in last has to be on the right, and you can't rearrange your units. So it becomes a bit of a timing puzzle because we know this thing's going to be attacking whatever our rightmost unit is at the time that it attacks for 1. Now this has text. It says proliferate. When this unit comes into play, place a Scarlet Seed Conjured aspect, and these are so much more interesting because they now have conjurations, into the battlefield if you cannot place a Red Rains token on the Chimera. So why does it say if you cannot? It's because there's only 1 Scarlet Seed. So it gets placed over here. So this is technically a unit that we can deal with, and it'll come in with 3 counters. If we could not place it because it was already on the table, we'd have to add a Red Rains token. And that's one of these bad things where you've got 3, the ultimate goes off and the behavior gets worse. So this comes into the table. We'll read it in a second, but this is something that we want to deal with because if this stays on the table for too long or another aspect flips up and uses it, we'll have a bad problem. Now this card is Defender. It says this unit will block for the Chimera and guard for aspects. Without the ability, the Chimera will not guard for this unit. So anytime that we attack any other aspect or the Chimera, this will get in the way. Notably, this card, once it does attack, it becomes exhausted. And when it's exhausted, its text box is blank, unless the text box has a green or a yellow border. This one doesn't. So this will eventually be exhausted and the text is off, but this technically is defending for everything else on the table. So if we try and deal with the Scarlet Seed, this will get in the way. That's mostly it. Just let me zoom out the camera a tad, and then we'll go to our turn, because that's the whole main turn that it had. Yeah, it's probably the space we need. Easier to pull the table than to move the camera. Little trick. Okay, so we'll just slide this up. Because we need 3 rows of cards. We need our cards, we need our hand, we need our spell board, and we need our units. This should be good enough. Yeah, this seems better. It's still a bit tight, but yeah, 1 second, still a bit tight. Okay, again, we streamed this in 1440, so it should be easy enough to see the dice sides, but let me know if that's not the case. Played some fallback decks, but it was odd playing decks. I know I'm not bringing to megas. When's the next mega? Is it Rilu soon? It's not next weekend, is it? Okay, so it's back to us. We don't know what it's going to do. There's a chance it will summon a thing, more likely than this. I guess we should read the Scarlet Seed because this is important. So it has only a life stat, it has nothing else, but it has a grow. So it comes in with 3 of these counters. And at the start of the Chimera's turn, you remove a status token from this unit. And if there are no status tokens on this unit, you discard it and it just makes a Red Rains token. So in 3 turns, we'll get a Red Rains token if we don't deal with this. Now this is really funny because when we put the Rose Gardener into play, the Rose Gardener can just remove a status token. So if it just removes the last token from the Scarlet Seed and cuts it down, which is such a good theme, the Scarlet Seed doesn't pop off. So we just want to time this, which is in 3 turns, as much as there's a bunch of other effects that can make the Scarlet Seed pop off. Now, I don't know enough about the cards, but we know that these are level 2 cards, and these like tier 2 cards are scarier. They usually attack harder. So you have an idea of what's showing up. I just don't know the card pool to like really play into that. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to spend our main action on Sun and Shimmerwing. Again, I often do want to set up, and I think our deck is like very well suited to just be setting up a fair bit because we do have a button that just deletes the whole board. The thing is like it only deletes the available cards, so we want to wait a bit longer. Notably, we also have Astrea, which as a main action, we can put an exhaustion on a unit. I don't think I want to exhaust a 1 attack, 1 health unit. It's with guard, it's fine. All right, so it's back to the Chimera. We just remove 1 token from every card that has these green status tokens on it, and then we just roll 1 of each die and see what happens. All right, red rains, so that gets locked in. I'll just put them right to left, I guess. And we drew a 4. So behavior, pulling this up is going to be, I should have locked this in to, a key, so it's easier to pull up. 4 is attack if able, if not reveal. So if able means there is a card that can attack. So proliferate's going to attack us. It will attack our rightmost unit, but there is no rightmost unit, so it'll just attack us. So we'll take 1 damage, nothing to do about it. So I realize we don't need those. We'll just do damage 1. And then it's exhausted, so all its text is offline. which is perfect. It means no longer has unit block. It's back to us. Unfortunately, there's no main action I want to take here. There literally is no main action I want to take because I don't want to play our units, because if we play our units, we can't play Judgment. But I honestly think Judgment might not be that necessary. So this maybe should be a card that we didn't pick in our starting 5 for obvious reasons, because the board state, it's not that scary. If there were more aspects and the higher difficulty, the more aspects they are, the more likely this card is to see play. Okay, so we can either summon a Badger. I guess we'll just summon a Badger and see what happens. So we're going to summon Bastion Badger. So we're going to exhaust this, which basically means it can do 1 a turn. We're going to spend 1 of each of these die, so a class and a basic. We'll place a Bastion Badger Conjuration into your battlefield, and then you may raise a Charm class die in your Aspect 1 pull level. So we're going to raise this into a power, and we're going to put a Bastion Badger into play. Again, Bastion Badger, it's a 1/3/0, and it can get +2 attack when it's attacking something or fighting with something, excuse me, that has the Charm die on it. Again, to get the Charm die, it's a side action, but we really have no target for this. We have to use our best die, but whatever we put it on has -1 attack, which really matters to keep the Bastion Badger alive. Oh, excuse me. All right, it's back. We remove 1 Scarlet Seed. So next turn, we're kind of priced into using this Rose Gardener to cut this thing off before it goes off, which is good. Mega super soon for me, though. The onlines haven't been announced yet. Yeah, the onlines haven't been announced. And I think if I want any of that price support, I have to get involved one way or another in online megas. All right. Bad luck. The second one, we also rolled another 4, so we know what this is. The 4 just says attack if able, if not reveal. Can't attack because it's exhaust. Actually, this one can attack us, I realize. Yeah, this one actually can attack. So it's going to attack. Oh, no. So this one can't attack. Notably, this one has no symbol on it. It doesn't have a targeting symbol, so it doesn't have main, left, or right, which means that uniquely this card cannot attack. Again, if we look at Proliferate, it has the claws on the right side of the sort of title bar or the text box bar, which means it'll attack our rightmost. There's a version for leftmost, and there's a version for straight to the Phoenixborn. So I don't think this can attack, let alone has no attack. So we'll just reveal the next thing. Also, it's Pride Morris. Time to rewatch JoJo's. Enjoy. Photosynthesize. All right, so this one comes in with 3 units, with 3 status tokens, excuse me. 2 attack, 3 life, 2 blood. Mind you, blood means when we defeat it, it just does that much damage automatically to the Phoenix, to the Chimera, which is good. It says at the start of the Chimera's turn, remove 1 status token from this unit to raise 1 basic rage die 1 level. That is actually frightening, because over time, in 3 turns, that will just make sure 1 of these goes up. So that's going to be a hard thing to deal with. We have to attack into this sooner than later. We could like put a charm die on it. That could be a thing. Notably, when you exhaust a unit, its text is invalid. It becomes exhausted. However, this, because it's in that green box, it's immune to exhaustion. So we can't just exhaust with Astrea. Hey, quick question. Ashes Reborn, Rise of the Phoenixborn, is the core set correct? Yo, Blue, how's it going? Yes. From my understanding, yes. There was like multiple core sets for this game. So Ashes, Rise of the Phoenixborn was the original core set, I think in 2016. Then they have an Ashes Reborn core set, which is now Ashes Reborn, Rise of the Phoenixborn, a black box. That is the new core set. And by core set, it comes with the most amount of cards per dollar, I think, and all the dice and all the tokens. That's what you want to pick up. That being said, Ashes Ascendancy is a new core set that came out this year that comes with 10 or 20 dice, so 10 dice of 2 new magics, and it comes with 2 pre-constructed decks, and it comes with a PvE thing called the Dragonborn, which we played on stream 3 weeks ago. Those are all technically core sets. I think only the Ashes Ascendancy is in print right now, but if you can find the Ashes Reborn core set, that's actually really good, but it's just like PvP product. It's just like cards that you can play against other cards. If you want to jump into this game and play PvE or co-op, you should pick up the Ashes Ascendancy core box, which came out this year. 2 streams in a day, never than Ashes Nelson. Yeah, we've been busy today. I mean, it's fun. I was going to do this anyways. Might as well do it on camera, I guess. How you doing? Rose Gardener. I think we're going to play Rose Gardener to cut off the Scarlet Seed. So that's going to be our main action. So Rose Gardener has to go to our right because playing our units is in the right. Mind you, this is our hand. It costs only a basic die. And it says Prune 1. When this unit comes into play, you may remove a status token from a target unit or spell. So we're going to remove a status token from the Scarlet Seed, which doesn't defeat it. It's just not going to do anything. Now, there's cards that can interact with it, but notably the text on Scarlet Seed says, at the start of the Chimera's turn, remove 1 status token from this unit. Then, if there are no status tokens on this unit, discard it to place 1 Red Rains token. So, because this is a then, I think those texts don't interact. So this thing will just sit here. So I'm pretty sure we've pruned it properly, which is kind of fun. In theory, we could have targeted the Photosynthesize, but it only really works. Technically, removing any counter from this is good, but we're going to have to try and defeat that. Now, Rose Gardener. Mind you, Photosynthesize has the center attack, so it'll be attacking our face. The rules for Chimera are slightly different than the Dragonborn, which I was surprised by, but luckily people in chat were kind enough to correct me, is that when this thing attacks, it'll attack my face. That's it. We can block with a unit if we want to, but it will attack straight to a face. in Dragonborn, against the Dragonborn, the units that have the center icon, when one of them attacks, every unit with a center icon will attack at the same time. So it's a lot scarier. Technically, in this game, they've said that these units that only attack one at a time are technically scarier. They have worse text, but classically, that's how it worked. Is that they only attack one at a time. In the future, now they attack all at the time, but we're not going to change that rule. With the Ascendancy core set, can you buy the Red Rains box and that should be compatible? Yes, yeah. If you buy Red Rains, it comes with these dice, this player set. It comes with a Chimera, 2 aspect decks. That's all good. And if you buy the, what's it called? The Dragonborn, the Ashes Ascendancy, that's all compatible. Technically all compatible. There's no issues with that whatsoever. That's actually a pretty good way to start, I think. If you want to just play Dragonborns, you technically don't need these dice, and then technically none of these Chimeras make sense for you, but I think that's a really good place to start. Okay, the other options, we can use the Rose Gardener side action because we still have a side action. We can use this to just change a charm die to the right side, which is a pretty good text. The other side action we could do is we could use Astrea's text. Or not Astrea's text, wow. We can use the charm magic text. And we could go ahead and put this like charm die on photosynthesize. And I think that's what we're going to do. And that now lowers the attack of photosynthesize. But if photosynthesize attacks, we can put Bastion Badger in the way, I guess. That actually doesn't seem that important. I think we'll just take 2 damage to the face. So instead, I'm just going to use Rose Gardener's text, and we're just going to tend to our die pool. So we're just going to change 1 charm die to our side. So we're just going to like greed and put these up to the right side, and that's it. All right, it goes back to the Blight. Blight removes 1 counter from photosynthesize, which I think is pretty bad text. It says at the start of the Chimera's turn, remove a status to a unit to raise 1 basic rage die 1 level. So we're getting the Red Rains tokens. The Scarlet Seed fizzles. Then we just roll these 2 dice and see what happens. All right, basic, and we rolled a 6. 6 is raise 1 basic die 1 level, reveal. Okay, so we're next turn, if we don't deal with the photosynthesize, this will get its first counter. Once it gets 3 Red Rains counters, it ultimate will go off and it'll upgrade its behavior, but we just reveal. Sowing Strike. All right, so 3/3/2. So when this unit is declared as an attacker, place a Scarlet Seed Conjured aspect onto the battlefield if you cannot place 1 Red Rains token on the Chimera. All right, that's good because we pruned the Scarlet Seed, but at the end of the day, like it's still there. And when this thing attacks, which it won't be the first thing to attack, technically the photosynthesize will always attack first, then the Sowing Strike. Yeah, if we don't defeat the Scarlet Seed, it'll spawn another Scarlet Seed. So we got issues. We do have problems. This thing attacks for 3 as well, which if we put a charm die on it, it'll attack for 2, which means we actually can trade with the Bastion Badger, which is nice. The charm die will also make Badger hit hard enough to kill the photosynthesize. Yeah, and I think we'll get to that for sure. I just don't know if we're going to do it right away. John, how's it going, by the way? Okay, so the summon Shimmerwing is not something we really need to do. It's something that we want eventually, but it just puts a Shimmerwing. Actually, no, it draws a card too, so we're kind of incentivized to do it sooner than later. This thing's targeting center. We don't know if this will target right. If it targets right, we don't have a unit guard. Oh, no, we do. We use the Bastion Badger. So let's try it with the Shimmerwing. Best case is we draw another Shimmerwing card with this, which would be sick. So the other options, we can play the Chimera Charmer, which we have the die to use as text. I think that would be maybe nice to have this on the table. It's 2/4/2, so it's pretty tanky. Let's try that. So we'll spend 1 of each and our main action. It has to go to the right. And it says, when this unit comes into play, you may choose a charm die in your exhausted pool and resolve its dice power without paying its cost. So we'll do the thing where we're going to go charm the photosynthesize. So it now has 1 attack. Actually, it's better to put on the Sowing Strike because then we actually can trade into it and not lose the Badger or the Chimera. Also, if this unit attack value is increased by 1 for each unit on the opponent controls with a charm die on it, which currently is a lot. The other thing we can do, and we should remember this, we can just use Astrea to exhaust the Sowing Strike, which is probably even better. But no matter what, I think we want it charmed so that we don't trade 2 units into it. So that's good enough. All right, it's back to them. And a bad thing's going to happen, photosynthesize. So at the start of the turn, we remove a status token and we increase a rage die. So when this hits 5, all we do is we put 1 Red Rains token. And technically the Blight of Neverset needs 3 before it ultimates. So we'll just put that there. Oh, technically it wants the draw and discard here. So this is meant to be where the tokens and the damage go. I mean, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna put the deck here. But technically the deck's meant to be there, but it doesn't matter. So we'll just put this here. I usually don't play with this board. This board is like not at all necessary. And then these dice all just jump down. Okay, now we have to roll. Okay, basic and number 1. Number 1 is the least scary. It's just a reveal, I think. So we get, yeah, just reveal. So we're going to reveal the last one. Now that all of these things are revealed, we are no longer rolling dice. When the Chimera's turn starts, all it will do is attack with the leftmost available unit. So Photosynthesize will definitely attack next, then Sowing Strike, and then this Sowing Strike. So we have now full information of what they're going to do. And funny enough, we could just drop a Judgment if we want and wipe the whole board. But it does wipe all our units, and we did play them, so we don't want to do that. Oh, we also forgot to use the Rose Gardener on our turn. We only did a main action. We should have done a side action. So we should have done this. We forgot. But we could have done Rose Gardener before we passed our turn. So let's just pretend we did it. We're going to upgrade our die. So we have 4 die left. That's okay. So it's now back to us. Cool. Photosynthesize has 1. It's going to attack us. And Photosynthesize just attacks our face for 2. Ultimately, we have 20 health, so we don't care. Technically 18 health left, so we don't really care about taking 2 to the face. We could block the Sowing Strike with our Bastion Badger, which is fine. The Bastion Badger will take damage, though. Technically, in this game, once these things attack and they're exhausted, when we attack into them, they won't counter us, as much as there's a chance the Blight of Neverset will block 1 out of every 4 times, I think. So that's a bit frightening. When this thing attacks, which is in 2 turns, it will knock the Scarlet Seed out, and the Scarlet Seed, once it gets knocked out, we'll put a thing on there, a Red Rains token. So I don't know. I think we're just gonna get a Red Rains token, unfortunately. I don't know if we can stop that. All right, what's our play here? What is our play here? I don't want to just Judgment the board, I don't think. So Photosynthesize attacks us for 2. We'll just take it. That's fine. I think we're going to do the Summon Shimmerwing. Like we always do this before we pass the turn. And this doesn't really do much. It could block a 1 attack, which like maybe that's worth it. So we could block like the Photosynthesize if we put a Charm die on it. But we're going to start here because it draws a card. So we're going to exhaust this, use our main action. We're going to spend the Heart, the class die, and we're going to put a Shimmerwing. Mind you, we can only play 4 units. So this is an issue. We actually have to defeat 1 of our units because otherwise next turn we can't summon another Shimmerwing, which is what we want to do. This also, oh, this draws a card first. So we drew another Chimera Charger. Nice. I think we can still afford this, but unfortunately we're full up in our battlefield and we cannot play another unit without defeating one of these units. You just literally don't have the ability to do it. All right, so the Shimmerwing, 0/2/0, not great stats, but once we have 2 of these on the table, we can discard them and they'll become an Eternity Flame, which is probably worth it, I think, at least in PvE, I imagine. We can do a side action here. So we have full information of what we can do with the rest of our dice. All we can do with these 3 dice are play the Chimera, which we're not going to do, play Judgment, which we're not going to do. So all we're going to do is to like put them on top of things. And then every time that this has a thing on it, everything that has a die on it has 1 fewer attack. That seems good enough. So I'm just going to put this on. I think we're going to exhaust this thing. So I think we're just going to put it on Photosynthesize and hopefully that's good enough. All right. It's Chimera's turn. Now it still removes a status token, which will upgrade 1 of these. But because all the aspects are revealed, all the Chimera will do is attack with the leftmost ready aspect that can attack. So Photosynthesize will now attack us. It technically exhausts after, but just so I don't forget. And it's attacking us in the face for 1. Again, this is a very important difference is that when you play with the Dragonborn, all aspects that have that like center face attack would attack all at once. But in this version, they only attack 1 at a time from left to right when they attack. So it's only a single attack. So this thing is attacking us for 2 because we charmed it. It's attacking for 1. We could, in theory, put the Shimmerwing in the way, which saves us 1 damage. The Shimmerwing's not going to be doing anything. So I think we actually do that. So we're going to exhaust the Shimmerwing to get in the way. We'll let it counter for 0 damage and it'll take 1 damage. This is weak to bleed. I think there's this bleed card can do 1 damage. But hopefully we get rid of the Shimmerwing before it matters. So that's it. It's back to us. So this Sowing Strike is going to attack. When this one attacks, it will defeat the Scarlet Seed and we get another Red Rains token. It's only attacking for 2, which means we can put the Badger in the way to trade, but the Badger will take damage. If we want to roll the die and just attack in, it won't take damage. Yeah. I think we're okay with that. We can take 1 Red Rains token, I guess. Yeah, that's probably fine. So we're going to use Astrea. We're going to spend a basic die. We'll overspend. And we're going to place an exhaustion unit on us to place an exhaustion unit on an unexhausted unit. So we're going to exhaust the Sowing Strike. So this one's not going to attack. At the end of the round, for every unit that we don't clear, I believe we put 1 Red Rains token, which sounds harsh, but I think that's the rule. So like we actually might hit the ultimate immediately, which is not good for us. We don't want that to happen, but I don't know. At worst case scenario, we can no longer throw a Judgment because we've used too many die. So we're gonna have to try and clean the board the best we can. All right, so it's a Chimera. The Sowing Strike will attack. It's only attacking for 2. And when it attacks, it says, place a Scarlet Seed Conjuration on the aspect on the battlefield. And if you cannot, which you cannot, you have to place a Red Rains token. So the ultimate's probably going to be going off because we're at 2. We can't put 1 because there's only 1 that's already on the table. So it's attacking us in the face for 2. We could put something in the way and block for 2, and this will counter, and so we'll do 3 damage back, but then it will actually take 2 damage. The other option is just to say we're going to take the damage in the face, and then once it's exhausted, we can attack back again, but the Chimera can block. So I think we're just going to take 2 to the face, and then it's exhausted. So we're down to 16. Okay, now it's back to us. The Chimera is totally done because there's no unit that can attack. So it's now for us just to clean up the table. So the problem is, again, the Chimera at any point can attack, which would be annoying. And at this board state, actually, we're not able to clean up everything. Maybe there was a world that we're meant to block with the Bastion Badger and get it defeated against something with 3 attacks so we can play the Chimera Charmer when we had more die, but we don't. So we're going to actually have the ultimate on the Blight go off, which is pretty bad. The art is baller for the Badger, Redwall coded, very Redwall coded. Man, I read so much Redwall when I was a kid, and having like a tough Badger like really does line up well. Now, notably, this is not an aspect, or technically it says it's an aspect on it, but I don't think this counts for having aspects left over. I might be wrong about that, but I'm not sure if this counts. I know that this doesn't count for a slot when we refill the board, but I'm not 100% sure the ruling on this. Maybe someone knows. Okay, so we're going to start attacking. The thing that we want to get rid of first is probably these Sowing Strikes. So we're going to attack with the Bastion Badger, and the Bastion Badger is going to be attacking into this thing because it has a blight, has a charm die on it, so it's attacking for 3. Now we have to roll this die, and on a 9 and above, so 9, 10, 11, 12, this Blight of Neverset will get in the way. So it's a 1 in 3 chance, right? Right? It does count? Okay, bummer. That's bad. But it doesn't count when they refill because it doesn't have it doesn't have a thing on the back, right? 12. That's the worst case scenario. So the text says, while this unit is in battle with a unit with a charm die on it, now there's another subtlety that I don't know, is that this Bastion Badger attacked for 3, but because the Blight Neverset got in the way, is it still battling something that had a charm die on it? I don't actually know. You might be looking at a double ultimate at the end of the round here. Yeah, we might have to ultimate and just like rebuild because this seems quite bad, honestly. I'm talking about this being easy, but I'm not sure here if the Blight of Neverset's meant to take 1 damage or 3 damage. The Badger will only do 1? Bummer. Okay, the Badger does 1. Now, when this ultimate goes off, I think everybody dies. I'm pretty sure everyone dies. I think they all get like cut real bad with this like bleed token. So we just want to use them before we can. All right, so we're going to now use the Chimera Charmer, excuse me, and it's going to attack. Technically here it has 4 attack, which is nice. And we're going to attack into the this Sowing Strike. Notably, if we don't defeat these things, next round, when they come into play, they will refill their status tokens, so we have to worry about their text again. So, yeah, this is actually looking quite bad for us. Okay. Let's just start with the Rose Gardener. The Rose Gardener will attack for 1 into Proliferate, which has 1 health. So maybe we can deal with that. So again, we're attacking for 1 into Proliferate on a 9 and above. The Blight blocks. Oh, 1. Okay, so the Proliferate gets knocked out. Proliferate has 1 health. So, or 1 blood, excuse me. So the Chimera takes 1. Down to 28. We're getting there. Back to us because the Chimera has nothing to do. So we'll attack with the Chimera Charmer. We'll attack into, yeah, we're wasting a die too. Did I do this correct? Did I do this good? We'll attack into the Sowing Strike, I guess. So we're attacking for 4. It's a 2, so that's good. This one's dead. It has blood 2. So the Chimera takes 2. And then that's all we can do. Everything's exhausted. We can't play any of the cards in our hand. None of these really matter. So we're going to have to pass the turn. And I'm pretty sure that means we have to put 3 red rain tokens on the Blight of Neverset. So the ultimate will go over and it'll still have 2 tokens left on it. So this is going to be pretty bad. We'll see how bad it is in reality, but it's sounding pretty bad. At least everybody's healthy, right? At least we have our health. So we're going to pass. When we pass, I'm not sure the timing of this. I think now for every aspect that's still on the table, we have to add 1 red rains token. So it goes up to 5. Then you clear as many as it has its ultimate if it's over ultimate. So we'll clear these 3 and then the ultimate has to go off. So when you do the ultimate, you just do the ultimate. And then we have to go to the next behavior. So this is the ultimate. It says after placing red rain tokens on the Chimera, if their red rains tokens equal to or greater than the Chimera's ultimate value, which is 3, we have to resolve the following. Remove red rains tokens from the Chimera equal to its ultimate. We've done that. Discard all cards on the Chimera's battlefield that it does not own. So if you're spawning conjurations and alterations in its side, it gets rid of them. That's actually important. Attach a bleed conjuration alteration spell to the leftmost unit of each of the Chimera's opponents. Oh, that's not that bad. I thought it'd be to every unit. So we have a bleed here. There's only 3 of them. But I really love these like alterations. So it shows the Rose Gardener bleeding and like they bleed out really quickly. They only have 1 health, but the unit is now considered bleeding. And at the end of your turn, which is every turn, you place one wound unit on this unit. We cannot stop the bleeding. So basically this Badger will be dead in 3 turns. So we probably just have to use the Badger, but the Badger is now very much bleeding out. Okay. Next, add a face down aspect card to each of the Chimera's battlefields. It is currently in the recovery phase. Do this after replenishing aspects. So we'll do that in a second. And then remove this card on the top behavior card from the game. So now behavior is behavior 2, and behavior 2 should be a bit meaner, supposedly. Okay. So now we were the start player for round 1. Technically now the Chimera is the start player for round 2. I usually don't mark this with anything. I probably should. Usually remember it's round 2, so the Chimera will go first. Technically you can use the start player token, but now the Chimera is going to go first. And we're going to have to refill the Chimera basically to its Chimera starting +1 because of this. So these are here, and the Chimera needs to have 4 aspects. I don't think this one counts. So I think we do 1, 2, and I think it gets 1 more because that's what it said. I'm not sure if this one counts. Now we got lucky that there's our 1, 2, 1s. The other thing is we refill all the aspects, and then the Chimera will go first, but we have one thing we can do first, which is back to us. So we have to clear all our exhaustions. Anything with recovery would recover. There's nothing with recovery. They recover all their exhaustions. We take off all these dice. Technically, I think I did the timing slightly wrong, but it shouldn't matter. And then what we can do is we can decide to, we have to roll our dice. We're going to decide to keep this in its pool because it's the best die we could roll. We'll roll 9 more. Given the difference you explained between solo against Chimera and Dragonborn, do you have a preference? I think I like Dragonborn a lot more because it's smooth and simple. The issue is the one Dragonborn that exists right now is like really straightforward. It's not particularly interesting compared to like the Chimeras now having alterations and conjurations, and they like attack you on way more angles. It was the same for what it's worth for the first Chimera. The first Chimera was a bit too straightforward for me, but like they have to start somewhere, so they started with something simple. That's okay. Oh, I picked me up Outcast of Redwall recently. It was such a nostalgia reread. Outcast of Redwall. I think I've read that. I haven't read all of them, but I read like maybe a dozen. I think I did like Redwall, and then I went back to like Mossflower and Martin the Warrior, and then I read upwards. So I know that Brian wrote more than I've read. All right, reasonable roll. 2 power. 4 class. 3 basic. Okay, cool. So now we can decide to keep the cards in our hand or not. This does feel like a turn where Judgment will probably pop off because the board is pretty wide. It's going to go first, so there's a chance it'll reveal another aspect. And like maybe we can just be very aggressive, and then last turn we can wipe with Judgment and then come back in. So that's fine. I think we can hold on to the Chimera Charmer as well because it's a big unit with a big butt, and we like that. It trades good. So I think we're just going to keep these and draw 3 more, but you can discard. So we'll draw. We have another Judgment. That's awful. At least you have to discard a card with Judgment, but playing 2 in the same round is nonsense. We have a new card called Snakebite. This is a ready spell, so it goes onto the table. And mind you, we can have 4 cards in our spell board. I don't think any of the precons have more than any of the characters can play. So when this spell comes into play, you may choose a charm die in the exhausted pool and resolve his dice power. So that's sick because this is basically a free side action that does the thing anyways. As a main action, you can exhaust this to deal damage to target you with a charm die on it, which is sick because you put the snake on it, it does a little bite. And focus 1 means if you have 2 copies of Snakebite on the table, that card becomes focused. So every time you fire either of those, you have the focus text. So you may instead deal 1 damage to the target Phoenixborn whose owner has no cards in their drop pile. That only matters for a fatigue deck. It's not going to matter today. And then lastly, we draw another Rose Gardener. Nice. Okay. So again, now it's round 2, so the Chimera will go first. So the first thing the Chimera does is removes the Scarlet Seed counter. When this thing empties, we get a Red Rains token. Then we roll 2 things. And again, the behavior is slightly more aggressive. My guess is, I'm not 100% sure. It's the one with the Sunstorm, Sunflash, the Mace Badger. Sunflash, the Mace Badger, like sounds so familiar to me. I think the one Badger I remember the most is the one that had like the bell on a rope. I think that's the one I remember. I think it was a bell, but it had a rope. It was fighting with a rope. All right. Red Rains token, a 4. So let's see what 4 is at this point. So the Blight of Neverset 2 behavior. So 4 is now attack if able, if not reveal. So, oh, we forgot to do this as well. Photosynthesize was meant to get 3 counters, and Photosynthesize was meant to go off already. So Photosynthesize says at the start of the Chimera's turn, remove 1, increase a die. I mean, like this is not great. So far, so bad, honestly. So the first thing that can attack here is Photosynthesize. So it's going to attack for 2, and it's going to go to the face. We could in theory put the Bastion Badger in front of it. The Bastion Badger is going to die in a couple turns, but I think we need to use the Bastion Badger to attack the Sowing Strike before the Sowing Strike goes off, and then the Bastion Badger won't die. It will die valiantly, more accurately, but we need to put a die on the Sowing Strike and then fire the Bastion Badger. So we're just going to take 2 to the face. We have more health than we need. Cool. It's exhausted. Unfortunately, the text box is not blanked when it's exhausted. Most characters are, but this one has a green box, so it doesn't. You can tell it has the weird treatment. All right, it's back to us. So we want to attack with the Bastion Badger because the Bastion Badger is going to bleed out in a couple turns. That's not good. So we want to use the Bastion Badger as soon as we can. That will also open up one of our 4 battlefield spaces, which again, each Phoenixborn tells you how many battlefield spaces it has. That is a balancing thing. So Astrea only has 4, which again, I think is the smallest in the game. And you do feel the squeeze. Some characters go up to like 7, I think. Maybe there's even bigger. But I do think we want the Bastion Badger to go off. So for it to go off, we need to put a charm die on the thing it's attacking. So that means I can play Snakebite, because Snakebite is a side action. So it costs the charm die. And it says when the spell comes into play, you may choose a charm die in your exhausted pool and you may place it. So we're going to play it on the Sowing Strike. And now technically we can deal damage. We can ping units that have charm dies on them, which is not bad. All right, then as our main action on the turn, we're going to attack with the Bastion Badger and then hope that we roll good. So we're going to attack into the Sowing Strike. Because it's not exhausted, it will counter back. So it'll attack us for 2. Bastion Badger will attack for 3. It'll still die, but there's always a chance that the Blight of Neverset will block on a 9 or up. We really don't want this to happen. A 1, perfect. So we do 3 to this. The Bastion Badger takes 2. We knock out the Sowing Strike before the bad thing happens, but we are going to actually get a lot of blood in a second. So this is knocked out and has blood too. So this is in our exhausted pool. So they take 2 more. And then that's it. We've done a main action and a side action. Unfortunately, bleed has to go here. And so the Bastion Badger takes its last breath and it's a conjuration. It doesn't feel pain. Don't worry about it. Okay. So bad thing is going to happen right now. And I don't know how bad it's going to be, but it seems like it's going to be bad. I think our Rose Gardener is probably cooked, which is very fitting for the art. Because Photosynthesize loses 1 and the Scarlet Seed loses 1. Oh, so maybe not, but Photosynthesize puts this up. And if we do not deal with the Scarlet Seed, which we always can by dropping this die or a die on it and then knocking out with the Snakebite, we can knock this out before it does a Red Rains token. But even if we knock this one out, Photosynthesize is going to go off and give us a Red Rains token. So like no matter what, Ultimate's going to go off again next turn. Okay, rolls the die. Maybe it happens right now, honestly. It does. That's bad. So we put 5 die, which means we put a 3rd Red Rains token. And as soon as you put the 3rd Red Rains token, the bad thing happens. So we clear all the Red Rains tokens and we have to do Ultimate 2, which assumedly should be worst, as much as it doesn't get worse than Ultimate 3, because that's it. Like Ultimate 3 is the last one. Okay. So remove Red Raid tokens from the ultimate, discard all cards in the Chimera's battlefield it does not own, attach a bleed conjuration to the 2 rightmost units. That's really bad because our Shimmerwing is going to die. And if our Shimmerwing dies at the end of this round, we're not going to be able to do the cool spell where we summon the second Shimmerwing. So getting our Shimmerwing bleeding is the worst thing. It was really bad that we put 1 damage on this. We should have taken the damage to the face. We're going to actually be really upset about that. Add a face down aspect card to the Chimera's battlefield. If it's currently recovery phase, do this after. Remove this card and the top card, and we're off. So we're on phase 3, which is the hardest ultimate. This doesn't go worse, but it should be worse. And we have to put 1 more aspect on the table. Okay, we rolled a 10. And now we have to look at behavior Blight of Neverset 3. So there's just fewer options here. So I think they're more likely to be aggressive. So side action is attach a bleed conjuration alteration spell to the player's leftmost units. So the whole board is going to go down and then we have to reveal. So everybody is bleeding, which again, shout out to these chimeras doing something more interesting. And then we reveal another proliferate. I mean, why is this going so bad? This doesn't go this bad. So proliferate is the one that can, when the unit comes in play, put a Scarlet Seed conjuration into play. It can't. And so if it cannot, we place a Red Rains token. So next turn, the Scarlet Seed's going to go off, and that's another Red Rains token, and Photosynthesize will force one of these dice up. So we probably have to knock out the Scarlet Seed. This thing does have Defender while it's ready, so if we attack into anything, it'll block. Hey, Matt, how's it going? Good evening. Okay, also, all our units are going to die. So I think the problem with the proliferate right here is that it has unit guard or has defender. So we'll block for the Chimera and guard for other aspects. So if we wanted to use the Rose Gardener to attack for 1 into the Scarlet Seed before it bleeds out, we can't because this thing is now in the way. So we have no way to knock out the Scarlet Seed unless we want to spend our whole turn using a die on the Scarlet Seed and then knocking out with Snakebite. And then we lose 2 of our units, which feels terrible. But I mean, like, if we're going to be judgment gaming, I think this is maybe acceptable. Yeah, maybe that is acceptable. The other options, we can play another Rose Gardener, actually. And if we play this Rose Gardener, we can trim the Scarlet Seed. That's probably a fair bit better, actually. But then this Rose Gardener gets knocked out anyways. So we have no way to defeat the Scarlet Seed and use the Rose Gardener. And maybe we don't have to use the Rose Gardener aggressively because ultimately, like, we're going to probably Judgment this board. And if we want to Judgment this board, we want to basically figure out how to, like, pass actions. So we're going to use Astrea once. But we need it to reveal. We don't want it to attack. If it attacks again, we're in a bad spot. We'll attack with a Chimera Charmer once. We'll probably spawn a Shimmerwing, maybe first, maybe after. Yeah, I think this is okay. So, like, I think we just do the side die thing. So this is weird and probably not a good use. Feed me, Seymour. So we're going to place this die on the Scarlet Seed. So it technically has -1 attack. And then we're just going to use the text on Snakebite, which says, main action, deal 1 damage to target unit with a charm die on it. So we'll just knock out the Scarlet Seed before it gets ripe. That's it. Conjurations go to their own discard pile. It doesn't have any blood on it, so we don't do any damage to that Blight. All right, end of our turn. All the bleeds fire. So Rose Guard is knocked out. Chimera has 1 damage. Shimmerwing's gone. The best laid plans, huh? And this is an ally, so it actually does go to our discard pile. I mean, ow. And we now have to use the Chimera Charmer before it gets bleeds out in 2 turns, which that's fine. I think like stalling is actually what we want to be doing. But this is like surprisingly little damage we've done to the Blight at this point. All right, photosynthesize. It's the Chimera's turn. So we remove a counter, which means increases the die. Again, this board's a bit wonky, so like this actually falls really deep into the cardboard. Yeah. And then we roll a die and see what happens. It's a 5. So on 5, reveal attack with the revealed aspect of Able. So it is much more aggressive. So we're going to reveal a 2. It's the Soothing Scent. I love how all these have the Rose Gardener on it. So Soothing Scent comes in. It's going to attack our leftmost unit, which is the Chimera Charmer. It only has 2 life. It has Tame 1. While this unit is in battle, the attack value of the unit it's battle with is reduced by 1. That sucks because now the Chimera Charmer won't trade into it. And it also has Defender, so it will trade for things. But it's now immediately attacking, and it's attacking our Chimera Charmer for 3 damage, which will knock it out. Now, if we attack back with the Chimera Charmer, we can guard. I guess the other option we can do is once per round is you can exhaust your unit, your Phoenixborn, and your Phoenixborn kind of intervenes. I don't honestly know that that's that good. Because if our Phoenixborn intervenes, she takes 3, which is still fine. We're still at like half health. But the Chimera Charmer can only attack for 2. And with this thing, the Soothing Scent, and that's a really cool aspect. I don't know if we're gonna be able to defeat this. Jai, how's it going? What's Wednesday like? Because while this unit is not attacking, it's just when it's battle. The attack value of the units in battle with is reduced by 1. So we definitely need to attack it with something that does 3 damage. How much harder did the Chimera kick? I remember the comment that Dragonborn were a bit easy, but I usually don't get the feeling from Chimera. So far, this is the worst it's ever gone. I have not lost a game to a Chimera or Dragonborn. I do think the Dragonborn just felt easier, but I think the bigger thing is that the decks that came in the Dragonborn's box were better precons. I think these decks, like, they have a bunch of cards in them that don't make that much sense in the PvE environment as opposed to the PvP environment, which are really good. Like, any of the cards that mill are not particularly good if you play them in a non-pure mill deck. And there's some of those cards in here. So I do think a big part of the Dragonborn is maybe it's easier, but I think the Dragonborn's way more straightforward. This is many more things we have to deal with and many more priorities, like different threat priorities. But also, yeah, the deck is not as good. I don't know, though. I'm not an expert, but yeah, I haven't lost to a Dragonborn or Chimera yet. Maybe we'll change that today. All right, so it's going to attack. The Chimera and average are all way harder than one Dragonborn we've so far. Okay, cool. That confirms it. So this thing's going to attack for 3. I guess we'll just put the Chimera Charmer in the way. Otherwise, it can maybe trade for the Proliferate, but it doesn't really matter. So we'll block with the Chimera Charmer. The Chimera Charmer will take 3 damage, which knocks it out. It does 1 damage back to the Soothing Scent. The Soothing Scent is exhausted. Cool. Now, the issue we have is that we want to pass our turn. But if you ever pass your turn while there's one of these on the table, I think you have to increase one of the die. I think that's the penalty. I don't think you give a red range token. I think you just have to increase one of these, which is not something we're excited to do. We like have no way to waste a basic action besides Astrea, and Astrea's basic action, like maybe that might not be that good this round because these are only 1s and 1s are not particularly good. But like here we have a judgment in hand, and I think we're kind of priced into judgmenting, which is side action and a main action, 2 dice, which is not that bad, and a card from our hand, and we just wipe the board. So like in theory, we don't want to play any more characters to the board. So I do think we will pass. I think we will straight pass. We could use Astrea to like stun the Proliferate. It only does 1 damage. and I don't think we care about that. So I think we just straight pass here. Feel like the ultimates are what crush me. It, like ripping an advance at MC. I don't think it's that bad. I think it feels worse than it is, but like maybe this ultimate is really quite bad, but I do think it's the sort of thing where like the early game's the hardest. Like from my experience, between round 1 and round 2, there's usually an aspect that survives. The ultimate goes off, but then between round 2 and round 3, you crush the game. So far, that's not the case, but like between round 2 and round 3 is really good because you usually have units at the end of round 2. The Chimera's hurt, and then round 3 you go right away, so you can just go straight to the face, and that ends a fair bit of games, especially for the Dragonborn. The Dragonborn, though, their ultimate just fires whenever you advance between rounds, so you can play around it a bit more consistently. But I hear you. I see why it feels like that, but I don't think it's actually that bad in reality. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we're just going to pass, and because we pass while there's aspect cards, we have to increase the die. Hopefully, that's not a problem. We are hoping that it reveals, and I think on the behavior chart right here, it reveals on all numbers besides 1 to 3. So let's just hope for the best. We're gonna roll both of these. Okay, that's a 4, so just good enough. The dice are getting high. So 4 says reveal attack with revealed aspect of Able, so Astrea might not be useful. We're going to reveal an Allure, which actually shows Astrea on it. So this attacks leftmost, which will be our face because we have no units. It says at the start of the Chimera's turn, remove a status token from this unit. If you do, the target opposing player must draw 1 card and discard a card off the top of their draw pile. That's genuinely good text for us. Like technically this gets you towards a mill strategy because if you run out of cards, it's bad. Notably, as a side action, we can rip cards off the top of our deck to rechange our dice, to not re-roll, but just like change them, let alone we can discard cards from our hand or from our spell board. But like this is actually just straight upside. It is going to attack us for 2. We have nothing to do besides take it. So we're going to take it 2. We're going to down to 12. It's exhausted. So next turn, we're going to draw a card, which like sick. All right. So we want to pass. So we're going to pass one more time. This time, though, instead of straight passing, we're going to use Astrea's text. We're going to spend a basic die. We're going to exhaust her, and we're going to exhaust this proliferate, so it's not going to attack. So Judgment will clean this board up back to the Chimera. So Allure goes off. Allure says at the start of the Chimera's turn, remove a status token. If you do, the targeting opposing player must draw a card and then discard a card from the top of their drop off. Fine. So we drew a new card called Farewell. I think this actually just like removes things off the table. Farewell, as a main and a side action, cost X class die. It says discard a target unit an opponent controls with life value of X. If you do, discard X cards off the top of your target opponent's draw pile. So it both is like a clear and it is a mill card. Technically, 1 for 1 is not good in this game. I think most of the burn cards that are good in this game are 1 for 2 damage. So this is technically 1 for 1, but you also do get the mill, as much as the mill doesn't really matter. What's kind of interesting in Chimera is like mill has some value because I know the top card is a 1, not a 2. So if I saw there was a 2 on top and I didn't want to deal with the 2 because 2s are usually harder, as much as 2 usually do more blood damage. So it's kind of a mix. Yo, Pat, how's it going? We're back with some more Ashes. That's really good. Now we have to discard 1 card at the top of the deck. We got rid of a Summon Bastion Badger. I mean, that's fine. We don't have that big of a board state or like a battlefield. So I don't think we need too many Bastion Badgers. Okay, it rolls the die. Hopefully it reveals because then we can do a judgment and that'll feel good. A 6, that definitely reveals. So behavior. So it does reveal attack with a revealed unit. Okay. Ballistic Seeds. I think we've now maybe seen all the cards. There's only, I think, like 6 individual cards. So Ballistic Seeds, it's not going to attack. It can't. Notice how it doesn't have any attack icons, so it literally will not attack us. After a status token is removed from an aspect on this battlefield by a status ability, the targeting opposing player must place 1 wound token on their Phoenixborn or rightmost unit. And this is what I mean. Like some of the Chimeras are so much more interesting, and I'm glad I played more than just the base Chimera. Because like this card is contextual based off of so many other things. Because this doesn't hurt us. It's just like now when Allure goes off, we get slightly hurt. But technically the Chimera is done. So when we pass back to it, Allure will fire, we'll take a damage. So we could pass here, but then technically 2 characters have passed in a row, and then it goes to the end of the round, and that's a disaster. So this is exactly the perfect board state for Judgment. So we are going to get a full board clear of 5 aspects. So we're going to play Judgment. It's a main and a side. It costs 2 basic, and we have to discard a card from our hand. I'm assuming we're going to discard the other Judgment because we're going to hope not to use it, but we could be wrong about that. And we just destroy all units, which means all of these things are discarded and we get to do all their blood because they are defeated from my understanding. So this is blood 2, blood 1, blood 2, blood 1, blood 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the Chimera takes 7 and we just clear the table. I mean, that is technically what Astrea wants to do, is like board manage and wipe. We played round 1 slightly differently where we actually contested. And that's a cool thing that these precons can play slightly differently. But the Blight is now nearly at half health. And we have now many turns in a row. And next turn we'll go first because we'll be the first player. So we can set up our Shimmer Wings and do all the good stuff. Hey, Green Iguana, man, I played that passing while I had face down aspect cards, gave the Chimera red reins for every face down aspect. Glad to have it corrected. To me, the actual penalty is not nearly as bad. Actually, no, you're scaring me because I am not confident about it. So we'll check really quickly. But Iguana, how's it going? We'll see what it is. I'm not 100% sure which one it is. So let's see passing, what shows up. If you take a pass main action while there's one or more face down aspect cards on the opposing battlefield, the Chimera raises a basic rage die. Okay, so we did it correct. It's not as bad as it sounds. You only add one red reins at the end of the round where you pass and they're on the table. Not when you pass, but at the end of the round. So that's a bit different. Yeah, just raising a die seems fine. I never played this Chimera. Excited to hear if you like it. So far, so cool. Like so much cooler than the base one. Because like the bleed tokens are interesting. The positionality matters. Everything has status tokens. And like Rose Gardener is just the coolest card. Man, I'm enamored with this card. Okay, so now we should do some face damage. We should establish a board. We have Judgmented, so it's not going to be coming back. So we can just like use our die as effectively as possible. Shimmerwing costs us 1 die. This costs us 3 die. This costs us 1 die. That's 5 dice. That should do it. Technically, we'll do the Shimmerwing first because it draws a card. And we do want our Shimmerwings on the table because once we have 2 of them, we can do like the cool play that I really wish we did turn 2, but we didn't get there. So we're going to exhaust this and spend a class. We're going to draw a card. We drew another Snakebite, which we could play that fast. It's not the best as a side action because its text doesn't fire. But when this is focus 1, it actually doesn't matter, let's be honest, because we're not going to mill out the Chimera. So then we can put a Shimmerwing into play. Now, it doesn't have attack. Technically, what also matters here is there's Shimmerwings on the left. You might want to keep the Shimmerwing in the middle because it technically is like not very survivable, and anything that attacks the left will attack this. I honestly don't know if that's worth playing ground at this point. Then it goes back to the Blight, but the Blight can't do anything, so it'll just continually pass. Once 2 players consecutively pass, the round ends, so we're going to have to make sure we never pass, which shouldn't be that hard. We'll play the Chimera Charmer, which I think its text will be slightly missed, but we'll get the body on the table. So we'll put 3 on the table. We'll do power class. While this unit comes into play, you may choose the charm die. We're not going to do that text. It's back to the Chimera, back to us. We'll play Rose Gardener for 1. It's back to the Chimera, back to us. And so we're just going to attack. We're going to attack with Chimera Charmer and Rose Gardener. So Rose Gardener attacks for 1. Chimera Gardener attacks for 2. And so Blight will take 3. So we're at half health. We're down to 14 of 30. And now the round ends. And luckily we'll go first. So that means we can basically guarantee the Shimmerwing gets translated, upgraded, which will be pretty good. We have to watch out for something attacking left. So we might actually go for a Badger first. The issue again, our board is only 4 slots. So if we put a Badger in, we can't summon the next Shimmerwing. So we might have to block with our face, which is fine. All right, we'll pass. They pass. It's us. So first thing we do is the order of this shouldn't matter. We'll refill the board because we're playing on standard. The Blight will only get 4 aspects. So 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1 is pretty soft. That means the bottom of the deck is mostly 2s, which is scary. These stay here. These on exhaust. Anything would recover. We roll our dice first. We'll be the first player. And then we can choose to mulligan. All right. We still have the Rose Gardener, so we can control this, but we have 2 power. We have 3 class. And we have 5 basic. How do we keep rolling 5 basic? That's not expected. It's not that bad. The Rose Gardener's text is like just the coolest. Gives you full control as a side action, which is, I was astounded to see that. I don't know how good that is in constructed in like PvP, but it seems pretty good in PvE. I think we're just going to throw out the Snakebite because I don't think it's actually worth anything. It can ping for 1 damage instances. Maybe that's actually worth something. The Snakebite just allows us to like put charm dice on things and then we can ping them. And because we have 2 Snakebites, each one we can exhaust individually as a main action to do a 1 ping. And sometimes 1 pings really matter, especially because we know these are low health things. And so knocking out low health things might be good. So I'll keep all of these. Farewell is also just fine. It just knocks out stuff. So we'll draw 3 more. We have Dealer's Choice. No idea what this does. So side action and a class die. Choose 2 cards a target opponent controls, at least one of which must be a unit. If you do that, opponent must place an exhaustion token on one of those chosen cards. So technically a card can have 2 exhaustion units, exhaustion tokens, and at the end of turn, it only clears 1, so it'll still be exhausted. These are a bit awkward when it comes to PvE because you're technically in charge of the decision and you're meant to pick what's the worst thing for you. So you should know what the worst thing is for you, but sometimes I don't. So technically this will pay 1 to randomly exhaust a unit or exhaust the worst of 2 units. So it's not bad. Exhausting a unit for a die seems fine. Arrogance. Okay. Our deck only has 15 unique cards, so I don't know if we've seen all of them yet. You may play the spell after you declare attackers. Is it 15 unique cards? No, 10 unique cards. We've got to nearly most of them. You may play the spell as a reaction after you declare attackers. So reaction spells, you can only play 1 reaction spell per turn. Choose an attacking unit. For the remainder of the turn, the chosen unit cannot be blocked or guarded against by units with a charm die on them. That's like kind of niche. We've seen a couple unit guards, but the biggest thing that blocks us in a way that frustrates us is actually the Blight, and we cannot put a charm die on the Blight of Neverset. So like this is not incredibly useful. And then we have another Farewell, which spends X to discard something and then mill the top of the deck or destroy something. Okay, we go first. I think we're just going to kind of be aggressive here, and we're going to summon our Shimmerwing, which draws a card, so we have more options. So we will exhaust this. We'll spend a class die. We'll draw a card. We draw an Embrace. Okay, now we maybe have seen all the cards. Embrace says side action alteration. So you attach this to something, cost the class. After any player's Phoenixborn is dealt damage by an attack, spell, ability, or die power another player controls, discard the spell and prevent the damage from being received. I have no idea. This only protects Phoenixborn. Mind you, it says you can only attach the Phoenixborn at the top. I don't know if spending one die is worth like soft healing 2 or 3. Probably is. If you see something attacking face for 4, you can just trade for this. Like, that's okay. Technically, like, damage mitigation is valuable, but I've always ended these games with more health than we know what to do with. So we might not play it. Regardless, we do get a Shimmerwing, which is important, because if both of these survive next turn, we can do something cool, where we can discard the 2 units and summon a Shimmerwing, discard the 2 Shimmerwings, which will summon an Eternity Flame, which at this point we're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's going to be awesome. Cool. Let's come here. We'll roll. Oh, actually, no, before we'll do the Rose Gardener, because we should always use their ability. So we're just going to go ahead and change a charm die to the best side possible from basic. And now it'll go. Dealer's Choice can also exhaust the Chimera itself, which will raise its ultimate threshold and remove an RR token at the end of the round. No shot. I know if you exhaust the Chimera, its ultimate cost goes up 1, but it doesn't say choose. Oh, wow. Yeah, the Blight is a card. That's a hard thing for us to choose. I guess I can't tell if it'd be better to exhaust a unit or exhaust the Blight. What do you think would be better? I think it's contextual, right? That's interesting. Weird. All right, we're going to roll. So the D12. Okay, basic, and we rolled an 8. Let's see what that brings us. So we get 8 on behavior 3, which is reveal. Side action, resolve the status ability of the rightmost aspect. Luckily, there's none. This is just proliferate. So that can just make the blooms pop and things like erratically burst sooner. Like, that's really cool because the plant actually just grows aggressively and more aggressively the more angry it is. So proliferate is when this unit comes into play. Oh no, actually this will fire. No, this might matter. So it puts a Scarlet Seed into play. Scarlet Seed comes in with 3 counters. And I think we have to remove a counter from this. We have to remove a counter from this. Contextual can just flip a coin if you want to keep it interesting. Yeah, we'll just roll like even odd, I think. All right, so the Scarlet Seed is in play. The Scarlet Seed, if it gets harvested, we get a Red Rains token, which means the ultimate will go off a bit faster. But actually now the behavior matters because the order mattered because it was revealed then this. So it says resolve the status ability, the rightmost aspect with a status ability and 1 more token on it. So we have to do this, and then the Scarlet Seed just leads the counter. So it actually did make sense. Okay, so now we can do the Shimmerwing. Technically, this proliferate will attack for 1, so it's targeting the Shimmerwing, so we probably want to get Shimmerwing out of the way. But this is a main action and a basic die to discard this unit and the other Shimmerwing to summon an Eternity Flame, of which we can only have 1. It's a 3/3, but it says when this unit comes into play, you may destroy a target opponent unit with a charm die on it. So we could do side action, place the charm die, and then main action. The issue is my greed here says we shouldn't do this because proliferate only has 1 attack, and I don't want to put a charm die on it. So we might wait. If the proliferate attacks, it will attack our rightmost unit, which will knock out the Shimmerwing we need for the combo, but we can always block with Astrea. So I think we'll just chill for now. The issue is I generally don't know how to chill because we need our cards to do something, and I don't know what else we're doing. I don't want to attack with the Charmer. Very impressive stream quality. Yo, Co-op Guild, thank you. How's it going? We do a lot of tabletop streams like this where we have control and pull up all the cards and stuff. It takes a lot of time to set up, but once it's up, it's like smooth sailing. I'm glad you appreciate it. I know when I get into new card games, I cannot like participate if I can't see all the card text. So hopefully this helps, whether or not you're familiar with this game or not. Okay. So I honestly don't know what we want to do. These attack for 0. This attacks for 2. This attacks for 1. If we attack into the Scarlet Seed, this will block us. But like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. If we pass, it's bad. A die goes up. So like the only thing we can do that doesn't pass is like farewell. And this is the awkwardness of playing a control deck. So I guess we could farewell the Scarlet Seed and just say it's gone before Red Rain shows up. It's pretty cheap. It says discard a target unit an opponent controls with a life value of X. It has a life value of 1. So we can spend our main and side action. Let's just do it and spend one of our class dies to discard the Scarlet Seed. Then if you do discard X cards from the top of the target's opponent's draw pile, so we technically mill the top card of this, which is a 2, and it is photosynthesize. Okay, good. This Farewell is gone. That was a main and side action, so we can't do Rose Gardener. It's back to the Blight. Okay, we just want the Shimmer Wing to do something, so hopefully something shows up here with 2 health. All right, 12. 12 is the bad one. Usually the 12 just says like put a Red Rains token, which is like frightening. Let's see what this looks like. Place a Scarlet Seed conjured aspect on the battlefield if you cannot place a Red Rains token. So at least we dodged that slightly, but this thing's back. We could put dice on this if we wanted to. We have big green dice, but these tokens are actually kind of nice. And then we have to reveal. So at least this will be flipped over. So we have a target for our things. It's another Sowing Strike, which we won't knock it out, but this will hit our face. And when it hits face, it harvests the Scarlet Seed, which is pretty bad. I think that's a good enough target. And then we can knock it out with a Snake Bite after, because it shouldn't attack right away. The Proliferate will attack first for sure. So we're going to do the cool thing. So the Shimmer Wings, we're going to spend a basic. First, before we do that, excuse me, we'll just play Snakebite as our side action. They come into the same pile, so they are focused. And Snakebite costs us a power die. And when it says when the spell comes into play, you may choose the charm die and use its text. So we're going to put the power die on Sowing Strike, which means it has -1 attack for this round. And later on, we can spend an action to deal 1 damage to the target with the power die, but we want to do that first. Because now we'll do Shimmer Wing, so we'll spend the class die, or sorry, the basic die. And we'll discard this unit and another Shimmer Wing, so the 2 Shimmer Wings come together, and they become an Eternity Flame. This does very much feel like Yu-Gi-Oh!, and I'm all for it. So when this unit comes into play, you may destroy a target unit opponent controls with a charm die on it. Sick. Wait, and deal 2 damage to Phoenixborn. I read that wrong. I thought we do 2 damage to this, but that's way better. So we'll just destroy that. So it did cost us an extra die, but that's fine. It's destroyed, so it does blood to the Phoenixborn. And then technically this does 2 more damage to the Phoenixborn because it discarded something. So the Phoenixborn is now only on 10 health. Notably, this Proliferate does have guard, but if this Proliferate is not here, we can attack for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which we're within striking distance. So it should be okay. Scarlet Seed, start a turn, removes a counter. This will get Red Rains and we'll roll. All right, 2, and we're 1 away from a Red Rains token, so we probably need to deal with this sooner than later, otherwise another ultimate will go off. I don't know what it does. Eventually I will, but I don't want to learn. Probably a lot of blood. So behavior, we get 2, which is the simple one, attack if able, if not reveal. Okay, so the Proliferate's going to attack us. It's just going to attack our face for 1, which seems more than acceptable. It will exhaust after that attack, so its text will be blank, but we'll just take 1 to the face. We have no reason to block this. We have, again, 11 health. We're not even at half health. We can take damage. Okay, now that it's exhausted, we can attack the Scarlet Seed. Maybe the Rose Gardener can do that. That would make a lot of sense. The problem with the Rose Gardener is once they're exhausted, their text box is offline. So if we want to be able to control our die pool, which is not amazing, we can do that before they attack, but not after. So yeah, I think we should. So we're just going to use the Rose Gardener to tend to the garden. So we're first going to use their ability and we'll crank up a basic die to power. And then the Rose Gardener is going to attack the Scarlet Seed. So we're attacking for 1. The Scarlet Seed will counter, but the Scarlet Seed has no attack, so it doesn't really matter. And now we're going to roll a die. On a 9 to 12, the Narrow Blight will get in the way. Isn't Proliferate attacking the bird? Oh my god, you're right. Yeah, no, you're right. I missed it. Yeah, it goes right. Yeah, it doesn't go face. It goes right. Yeah, huge catch. So we'll recover 1, and the Eternity Flame will just take 1 damage. We're not going to retaliate. But yeah, it should go 1 damage here. That could matter. Thank you. Yeah, it goes right, not straight. Yeah. I think the Sowing Strike that we just knocked out was the one that went straight. All right, Rose Gardener attacking Scarlet Seed. 9+ is bad. It's a 12. That's bad. So the Chimera gets in the way and takes 1 instead. So the Scarlet Seed lives another turn. We've done our main and done our side. Scarlet Seed loses 1 counter, so it might pop. We're very close to getting another ultimate. Okay, that's good. And we get a 3. And a 3 was, if I'm not mistaken, attack if not reveal. Yes, attack if not reveal. So we're going to reveal the next thing. It's an Allure, and honestly, I like Allure. I'm good with Allure. Allure is good. So at the start of the Chimera's turn, remove a status token. We have to draw a card and then mill a card. That's fine. This thing attacks left, which is the Charmer, which is acceptable, and that's okay. Now, the Scarlet Seed is going to go off. We want to stop it to go off. Once this card gets revealed, it'll stop rolling this die for a minute, which is probably good for us. But if this die hits and this thing survives or like gets harvested, it's really quite bad. So I think we need to knock at the Scarlet Seed. The only way we can do that guaranteed, we have 2 ways. One is to put a charm die on it and then snake bite it. But if we're going to do that, we might as well just like play a Farewell, I guess. Maybe not necessarily, because Farewell can deal with a bigger unit, but it seems like this board is pretty low health and we always can still summon a Bastion Badger, which is nice. So we'll play Farewell as our main and aside. We'll spend 1. We'll do the same thing. We'll do X damage, which is 1 to the Scarlet Seed, knocking it out. And that lets us mill 1 card off the top of the deck, which gets rid of a 2. As much as I think the deck is almost entirely 2, so we get rid of a Soothing Scent. That thing had no blood. So that's it. All right, Allure fires. So we'll remove a counter. To start the Chimera's turn, we have to draw a card. Another dealer's choice, and then we have to rip a card off the top of the deck. If we fail to draw, every time that we fail to draw, we have to take a damage, and when your turn starts, you have to draw up to 5. So technically getting milled out is a real thing. It's just like, the Blight only has 9 more health on standard, so we shouldn't be too scared about it. All right, still rolls. All right, so we got the next blood die, or the Chimera, Red Rains die, so we're at 2 of 3 for the ultimate. I'll reset the board. And we rolled a 3, which is attack if able, if not reveal. So Allure is going to attack us. So Allure is attacking our leftmost for 2. We could exhaust the Chimera Charmer to have the Chimera Charmer counter. So the Chimera Charmer does 2, Allure does 2. I mean, it has recover 2. I think that's acceptable. Otherwise, we could attack it for 2, but it has a chance of going to the Blight. And we need to destroy everything on the table, because if we don't, it'll get a Red Rains token, and then the ultimate will go off, which I'm assuming everything is going to bleed pretty bad. So we'll exhaust the Chimera Charmer to counter. It takes 2, Allure takes 2. Maybe we want to keep the Chimera Charmer actually and go face. Hold on. Yeah, wait. Because the Chimera Charmer can have up to 3 extra damage. Because this unit's attack value is increased by 1 for each unit an opponent controls with a die on it, not for every die on it. Because in theory, we could like get all our die and then just like put 5 die on a thing and go face. But technically, the Chimera Charmer can have 5 attack. The Rose Gardener has 6 attack. Eternity Flame can have 7, 8, 9 attack. So if we stop playing cards, we actually can maybe just go straight face here. If the Chimera Charmer does not exhaust the counter. That might be correct, because we can win. Because if this thing doesn't have guard, nothing will stop us and we can go face. But that would require us to attack for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, this is exhausted. 6, 7, 8. No, we're short. Was I wrong about when mill damage happens? I don't know. I don't remember. I think it's only when you have to draw. I'm at the start of the turn. I'm not sure if it's when you have to draw whenever, but I could check that real easily. I don't think it matters too much. Because even next round, after the Chimera goes once, we can just go face with our table. So we can just do this trade. It's probably safer. So we will exhaust the Chimera. So the Chimera will take 2, and it'll return 2 damage to the Allure, which does 1 blood and gets knocked out. So the Chimera Charmer has 2 recovery, so it will heal this. And the Allure gets knocked out, guaranteed, for blood 1. Okay, it's back to us. We only have that Eternity Flame that's not exhausted. We know we can deal with the Proliferate by just pinging it. I don't remember what any of these cards do. Embrace, we could just attach now and just have it cooking. Fatigue damage is only checked on the top of the round draw. Okay, cool. So you can draw in the middle of the turn with no penalty. It's only at the start of turn. Chimera plays a different with mill damage. Basically occurs anytime after round setup and they need to draw a card. Oh yeah, for them it's different for sure, but they also technically have to get through their deck twice for mill damage to be real, I think. Because the Chimera has to get through the exhausted. Technically we're playing with the Dragonborn rules, but I don't think we're gonna get that far. I've never milled the deck more than once, even while trying. As much as I have not built a pure mill deck, I've only been playing the precons. Okay, we could summon a Bastion Badger. I mean, it technically can attack for 1. That's not great, but we could do it. Otherwise, we can ping damage and proliferate. We have to just do 8 more damage. This will do some amount of blood. This will do some amount of blood. If we pass, the die goes up, which we don't want to do. So I think we'll just summon a Bastion Badger. I typed the word summon and then realized how many options there are, so I have to type more. So we'll spend this. We'll spend 2 die, so we have to do power and basic. So we'll place a Bastion Badger, then we may raise 1 charm die. So we'll make it really good, and we'll have a Badger. So our battlefield is full, which is fine. We're not going to play any more units this round. It technically only attacks for 1. It can guard, and it gets better when it's defending. Fighting with something that has a charm die on it. All right, that's it. We're not going to do side action. Chimera's going to roll. All right. 12, that's bad. I think 12 spawns the seed, right? Place a Scarlet Seed, reveal. So if this thing eats a Scarlet Seed, the ultimate's going to go off. So we're hoping for the best here. It's another Allure. Okay, that's fine. So this, we have 3 turns to deal with it. It won't attack, so we just have 3 turns to deal with it. And the Allure comes in. Allure here is going to attack our leftmost for 2. The Chimera Charmer is now exhausted, so it can't block. But we can trade into it to the Bastion Badger, which we probably are going to do. Okay, so on our turn, we're now just going to use the charm die, and we want to take a basic action. Technically, we can pass here because it won't pass, and then there's no penalty. We're going to put a charm die on Allure. That's our side action. It's going to trade into the Bastion Badger, so we don't actually have to do a snake bite. So as a main action, I think we pass. I think we pass with the main action here. I don't think we have anything to do. We attack with Eternity Flame into face, but we can do that later. So we're just going to pass. And so now it's their turn. This loses one, this loses one. Technically, Allure goes off first, and Allure says that we have to draw a card. So we drew another Dealer's Choice. We have all 3 Dealer's Choice, so we have to rip and Embrace off the top of the deck. That's fine. We didn't want to draw that. And now because everything is revealed, it just attacks the leftmost that's can attack. So Allure is going to attack. It's going to attack our leftmost, which is targeting the Chimera Charmer. It's attacking for 2. The Bastion Badger luckily has unit guard, so it can guard for another unit. It will guard, and it has +2 attack while battling something with 1 this unit. And notably, actually, Allure has only 1 attack because it's charmed. So it's going to hit our Bastion Badger for 1, and at the same time, Bastion Badger will hit the Allure for 3, which knocks it out and does 1 more blood damage. So we're at 7. So pretty close. Okay. Now we want the Eternity Flame to go face, so we'll use a side action here, and we'll just use our Charm Magic one more time. We're just going to charm the Scarlet Seed, which is a bit silly. And then we're going to give it a little Snake Bite. So as our main action, we'll exhaust this to deal 1 damage to a unit with a Charm die on it, so the Scarlet Seed just gets sown. We're going to be able to use all our dice this round, which is perfect. Chimera goes, has nothing to do, passes. So as soon as we pass the round, will be over. We don't want to. It's back to us. We'll do the same thing. We'll put a die here. We'll exhaust our second Snake Bite, and technically they're 2 unique cards. We'll knock out this Proliferate, which does 1 damage to the Chimera. Mind you, this should be in its own pile. This was bad. Now it's okay. I think it's okay. Because as soon as our first turn, next turn, we can just attack with face with everyone, and we should have lethal. It's back to us. The only thing we can do here is attack with the Eternity Flame. So we'll attack for 3 into the face. They're down to 3. So next round, as long as we can get 1 attack in, we should be good. And that's it. Cool. So, and upkeep. Technically, the Chimera will be the first player next round, so they will go first. They refill their board. So they go 2, 1, 2, 1. Technically, we reveal this exhaustion thing. I think you immediately shuffle the deck, but it shouldn't matter. I'm not 100% sure. I don't have that card out. Now we can roll our dice and decide which of these cards to keep in our hand. And honestly, I don't like many of these cards. None of these cards really do much, so we should mulligan deeply to get to like more allies. Eventually we will deck out, which is scary, but with 3 health, it shouldn't be hard. Okay. So we are just going to roll a dice first, I guess. So roll off 10. Oh, mind you, we're meant to unexhaust our units and recover any units that have recovery. So Eternity Flame doesn't recover, Badger doesn't recover, Rose Gardener doesn't technically recovers, but Chimera recovers it too. You got this? Yeah, for sure. There's no way that we don't, I don't think. All right. Not bad. 2 power. 6 class, 2 basic. That's feels like what the average roll should be, I think. I'm just gonna scoop this up and draw 5 more cards, which is technically risky, but I don't think it matters. So we draw another Embrace and Arrogance. So the same hand. We got a Charmer, so that's more damage as much as our battlefield is full. Summon Shimmerwing, 2 of them is perfect because he actually can spawn 2 and then do the thing. And we got our 3rd Summon Shimmerwing. Notably, in your first 5, every card has to be unique, so you can't just start with 2 Shimmerwings and go from there. All right, so the Chimera will go first. So rolls. 8 basic die. So behavior says reveal and resolve the status ability. So we'll reveal first. It's Soothing Scent, which does have Defender. So actually we can't just send it into the face here, but there is nothing to do. But this does have Defender. So we can just exhaust this and then attack next turn. So like technically we're still chilling. But yeah, we can't just send a straight face. My YouTube crashed back? Oh, mobile? My YouTube mobile crashes way more than I'd wanted to. All right, so this thing does have Defender. So it'll block for the Chimera. The only thing it won't block is if we attack it. The Chimera technically will not block for this, as it says. So if we knock this out, that also does 2 damage to the Blight of Neverset. So like we could just do that. But I think the safer play is like, we don't have anything that will just ping it out. So we're just going to use Astrea's ability. We're going to spend a basic here, and we're just going to place an exhaustion on this. So it's technically it's Texas blank and it won't attack us. That's a very powerful ability. I imagine that'd be very frustrating in PvP. We're here. So as a side action, we can just go ahead and use the Rose Gardener. So we'll just make a die, the best die we can make it. All right, it's back to them. You can also Charm Arrogance, swing for lethal here. Charm Arrogance. We may play the spell after you declare attackers. Choose an attacking unit for the remainder. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yeah, I should read this card. You may play the spell after you declare attackers. Choose an attacking unit for the remainder of that turn. The chosen unit cannot be blocked or guarded against by units that charm die on them. Oh yeah, let's do that. That's way better. Yeah, obviously that's way better. Okay, hold on. Rewind. We have very, very obvious lethal. I need to read all the cards a bit better. So that's a much more fun play. So we're going to side action do the charm magic. So we're going to charm the soothing scent, which is funny. So this thing now only has less attack. And then we're just going to attack with the Eternity Flame, which is perfect. So it's attacking for 3. So it's going to go to the face. Soothing Scent would get in the way, but this is a reaction. So we can just say perfectly here, you may play this spell after you declare attackers, choose an attacking unit, the Eternity Flame. It cannot be blocked or guarded with the Soothing Scent. And we just do 3 to the face. Yeah, good catch. I should have read that card a bit better. I remember not caring about it, but this is the exact board state where it matters where you're going face. Does Defender blank out with exhaustion? I assume not, but forget the card text. It does, yeah. It depends on where the text is written, because this is just written in the base box. It does get blanked with exhaustion. If it's written in the sort of like yellow box or green box or blue box, it won't get blanked in exhaustion. But this is the base box. So yeah, it does get blanked. Yeah, lethal. Yeah, we got lethal for sure. Yeah, we should have kept the arrogance that we threw out, because that actually was the only thing that we could have got like caught out by is by the arrogance. Regardless, if we flip this out, this wasn't a defender, so we could have just exhausted and attacked next turn, but I don't see why we would have to do that. Fatigue actually hits Chimera harder than players. Reread the fatigue card when you have a moment. I think I have it here. This is the fatigue card for Chimera. Set this card by the Chimera and then shuffle the Chimera's discard pile to create a new card. Set all rage die to the basic side. The Chimera is fatigued. When resolving, the Chimera cannot draw cards. Its draw pile is considered to be empty. After 1 or more cards are discarded off the top of the pile, place 1 moon token. That's the same, isn't it? Technically, it doesn't start on that side. It starts on the other side. But they did say to use the Dragonborn rules. I don't know if I have the Dragonborn fatigued card because it's like exhausted 1, 2, or 3 or something. I'm not sure what they're called, but I have them somewhere in the system. All right. I think it was bad for a bit. And then we did the board wipe and things were okay. And then we controlled the table and everything traded up really bad. I just want to check what would happen if the ultimate went off one more time. I'm assuming everybody gets bloody, and that's probably not going to be good for us. Blood seems bad. So it says, if the ultimate fired again, we have to discard, remove red rains tokens. Each Chimera's opponents must discard 1 card from their hand, spell board, or off the top of their draw pile. That's fine. That's it? There's no more blood? Wait, if the ultimate fires one more time, all we have to do is add a card to the battlefield, and we have to discard a card from our hand, spell board, or off the top of their draw pile. That just means you can't go infinite because you will deck out, but like I was worried that blood would happen. Now, this is the bloom aspect. There's 2 aspects that come with this Chimera. Technically, you can use any aspect with any Chimera, but the 2 they come with are much more flavorful. This is the bloom aspect, and it's all about growing and growth counters and things spawning. The other one is the thorn aspect, which we'll try right now. And the thorn aspect is about attaching blood to your stuff, and that's way worse. Like things like the Rose Gardener, you really have to position them well, because if they're on the left, I think there's a lot of cards that say like bleed the left unit, bleed the right unit. So like positionality matters a fair bit more. So getting something on the edge that has like, I guess recover is good, but more likely just having a good, what's it called? A good health stat. There was that one card that I think was in the Dragonborn deck that just said like discard an alteration, or maybe it was in one of the other chimeras that just felt so good against a bunch of the chimeras that attach things. All right. Cool. That deck is a bit, but not too bad. So we can definitely clean this up. I think we will kick up the difficulty 1 notch at a minimum, and we will try a different hero. Astrea's ability was fine. It was okay. Her unique card was obviously very important to come back from a bad board state, and I could see coming back from a bad board state to be pretty difficult, but her text was not as good as I thought it would be. Like exhausting a unit is good, but like if the unit just attacked face for 3 damage, I don't think we mattered. I guess a lot of them do have text when they attack. That's the worst part. Who do we want to see? Let's do one more. So we have options. We have Leo, a bit of a mill deck, has this like little bird that gets in the way, which is good fun. This card is like kind of goofy, because it seems absurdly good in the Chimera. It's an alteration you can attach to the Chimera that says they cannot guard. The one thing that we have a bad time into is when they guard into units. This just says that they can't guard. And if I'm not mistaken, the wording on this is a bit cursed when it comes to Phoenixborn, and is fixed for the Dragonborn. Because there's no way for the Dragonborn, or sorry, there's no way for the Chimera to get rid of this. Because you notice here it says, discard all cards on the Chimera's battlefield that it does not own. Technically, this alteration is not on the battlefield. So when the ultimate fires, it will not remove Gifted Rose, because it only clears cards that are like on the table here. I know that the Dragonborn is worded to discard all cards attached to it and that it controls that it doesn't own. So it will clear the Gifted Rose, but technically Chimeras have no way of clearing the Gifted Rose, which makes it seem absurdly good as a card that just says you can't guard anymore. That's very, very good. That's ridiculous. Chimera doesn't go away. Yeah, this one doesn't go away, but then Dragonborn it will. They fixed the wording for Dragonborn. I don't know if that's an oversight. Blight isn't usually that tough at standard 1. It's basically a control mill burn opponent, so at a lower threat, you can often just push through and overwhelm it. Yeah, it seems reasonable. Leo is always will be my favorite. I mean, I love the idea of the glowfinch. Like just having the little bird that gets in the way is good fun, and milling is like a nice little disaster. I forget what is Leo's other thing that I can play. Yeah, I don't know what his other signature card is. I remember it being good. One of the other options we can play is Maeoni. I think Maeoni is the other one we consider. Her command strike spends 2 dice, which is a bit expensive, but it just deals damage. So we want something with big numbers, and then it just strikes, right? Anguish, it's a Punisher spell. So this is Anguish. It's an action spell, cost a basic, 2 basic, and a main. Choose a target Phoenixborn. Its controlling player may discard 1 card randomly from their hand. If they do not or cannot, place 2 wound tokens on the Phoenixborn. Then choose a target Phoenixborn. Its controlling player may move 2 dice of your choice from their active pool to the exhausted pool. If they do not or cannot, place 2 wound tokens. Oh wow, that's rude. Yeah, that's really rude. Choose the target Phoenixborn. Its controlling player may discard a card at random if they do not take 2 damage. Then you can mess with their dice if they do not take 2 damage. So this is a 2 for 4 burn if they take it. Otherwise, like you can mess them up. The fact that the first option is like a random discard, like on turn 1, a random discard is really bad from the first 5 is my guess, right? Damn, that's good. Yeah, Maeoni seems reasonable. She doesn't have her Vipers in this. The one that she has instead is the Venom Strike. So Venom Strike is her unique in this box, which you don't have to play with it, but we will. So this is an action spell. So 1-time use, main and a basic. Choose a target opponent. Discard X cards off the drop pile. Deal X damage to their Phoenixborn. Then place each charm die on that opponent's exhausted units into its owner's exhausted pool. X is the number of charm dice on units they control. Okay, one more time. So we choose the Chimera. We discard, say, 4 cards from the top of their drop pile, which is not super important. We deal 4 damage to their face. That's more important. Then place each charm die on that opponent's exhausted units into its owner's exhausted pool. So it uncharms them. That doesn't seem that good in Chimera, does it? I remember Leo being a really powerful deck back in the day. I just think he was the pure charm deck. Makes sense. Just look at him. Yeah, I love the charm theme. The charm theme is really great. This doesn't seem amazing. Sometimes I imagine it's good to get your charm die back in your exhausted pool because you have a bunch of cards that fire them from your exhausted pool. But this is just like 1 to do 4 burst, which only really matters at the end of the game. Like for the Chimera, it's more important, at least on the difficulty that I'm playing, that you just control the board, not that you do face damage. So like, I don't know about that. I'm not into that. The last one's Saria. Saria is a mill deck, but we are missing a lot of the key Saria mill cards. I know they have to like rework one of your allies like 3 different times. 524. You may draw a card. If you do, choose a target player to discard a card off the top of their draw pile so you get some incidental mill. I mean, you may, so you can see if the top card is a 1 blood versus a 2 blood and kind of mess with that. And her unique is willpower. 1 main and a basic. Deal damage to target unit opponent controls equal to the number of cards in your hand. Shit, that's cool. That's really cool. It's got nothing on her Silver Snake. Yeah, her Silver Snake seems really good. And especially for the Chimeras that spawn a lot of things. Like the Silver Snake gets eaten up and it eats all her small things. And then its attack gets really big, which works so much like better with her text. Like her text is only really good if you play big units, and like the Silver Snake is the biggest unit. So I get that, right? Like that's like such an obvious synergy. She only have 1 Silver Snake now. I don't know if that was the case in the core set. Maybe it was. Willpower seems really fun. The thing with like willpower, for it to be good, you need to like play passively, like play control, just kind of like Astrea, because you really need this to do 3 damage. And notably, when you play this, it shouldn't count itself in the cards in hand, right? So if you play this with 4 cards in hand, it does 3 damage because it's out of hand. Man, that art is wild. Is that her? I guess that is her, huh? I'm gonna try Saria. That seems fun. I like that card. That card seems the best in this format out of some of the other ones we've seen. All right, let me put this back and then we'll reset the board. We're gonna play against Thorns instead of Bloom and see how much worse that is for us. Again, every other card's the same. The only difference is the 3 aspect cards, which is like a really cool way to add a bit. And mind you, you can do all the deck building you want, but it adds like some variance into your setups without having it be overwhelming, which is neat. I like it a lot. Our judgments are right here. Okay, so we're Saria. We start at, sorry, this is going to break slightly, but we'll get there. Hero name Saria. She starts at 20 health. Saria, ignore Aaron over there. We start with a Bastion Badger, a Shimmerwing, a Willpower, and you can choose your own starting 5. So far, I haven't minded our starting 5. And then we started with a Rose Gardener and a Chimera Charmer, right? Cool. I think this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we do have 2 extra dice to use on turn 1. I mean, that's probably fine. I think starting with the Judgment was silly. I would not have started with the Judgment. It doesn't count itself though. That's correct. Yeah. Sari's willpower spell is awesome. She draws off of her ability and off of Shimmerwing. Oh yeah, her text just draws, right? Of course. So it should be easy to get another action. Now her willpower spell is a main, so you have to do 2 mains in a row. But honestly, like it's actually really good to have these like mains that can pass, right? It kind of feels a bit like unmatched or yeah, unmatched. Is it called unmatched? I never remember which one's the war game and which one's the game with Ninja Turtles and like George Washington. I think it's unmatched, right? The other one's undaunted, yeah, but it's like unmatched where sometimes having like a pass is good for jockeying position. Yo, B-Bix, how's it going? What's Wednesday like? All right, let's clean this up. We'll do another game. So we're not going to see any of these cards again. We're going to reset the ultimate and we're off. So this one's called Thorns. I'm assuming it's going to have bleed, but it has entirely different cards. It will very likely still spawn the Scarlet Seed. I think the behavior can just spawn the Scarlet Seed. Like the behavior doesn't change, but just the aspect cards change. We will knock it up 1 difficulty, I guess. Yeah, why not? Why not? So we'll play the Blight of Neverset standard to level 2. None of the numbers really change that much, but all that changes is how many aspects start every round. So now we have to deal with 5 aspects. Hey, Milla, how's it going? I was hoping to see more of the game. Yeah, this is technically the second Chimera, and so far it's been pretty interesting. How you doing? If you watched the Dragonborn thing, which I'm pretty sure you did, the rules are only slightly different, but not in any way that requires explanation. It is less elegant than the Dragonborn. The Dragonborn is like, years after of figuring it out, but it is largely the same idea. So we have to do 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1. So 5 aspects. The difficulty has gone up significantly. Still 30 health. We start with 20 health. It has 30 health. All right, we'll shuffle this 1 on top. Okay, that's it. This is our starting 5. We've shuffled our deck. We're off. Sorry, it was the exact character I was interested in trying when I looked them all up. Yeah. Saria, I think is the character that I had the most fun of in the original core set too. I do like me a mill deck. I do want to say that her text is going to be probably a bit less relevant here because we don't have a full mill strategy. We have a couple cards that are good off of like some aspects of card drawing and milling, but yeah, it's not going to be like if you make a constructed deck, and you can play a constructed deck here. I don't know enough about this game to do that confidently. Okay, our die roll. 1 power. Not great. We do have the Rose Gardener, so we can deal with that. How do we keep rolling like this? No, it's not that bad, actually. 5 class is fine. 4 basic is higher than you think. So this is 1 out of 3 chance. We roll 10 of these, so we should get about 3, and maybe this is what you'd expect. In theory, 2 powers is what you expect on an average roll. We still haven't done it yet today, but you can always meditate as a side action, which is you can burn cards from your hand, your spell board, or the top of your deck to just reposition your dice. I'm intending a Neverwinter to learn to play this weekend. So hyped. Oh, sick. Are you teaching, or are you just there to like hang out? I'm assuming you know Neverwinter, right? You definitely know how to play Neverwinter. Okay, so we're off. We have our hand. The only thing that we have in our hand that's different is willpower, but obviously there's no reason to fire this. It just does damage. So I think we're going to summon our Bastion Badger first so we can get something on the table. All of the other cards interact with the board, so we want to see what the aspects are before we commit to these. Rose Gardener can remove aspect counters, and the Chimera Charmer can charm something, so we'll wait for those to be relevant. All right, it's off. Oh, we have to reset these, of course. So ultimate 2-1. I do like subtly how the border does get a bit redder and redder as things get deeper and deeper. Same for the behavior. All right, so we're off. We roll 1 and 1. The nice thing about the game is that even if you don't want a deck build, you can customize it by switching out dice in the dice pool. It can be impactful. That's something that I didn't appreciate. Is like a lot of the signature cards and the hero cards always use basic dice. Like Saria is actually rare. From my experience, not a lot of the characters have class-based abilities that require you to play a certain class. The fact that Saria has to play charm dice, like that's probably fine and fitting. But again, most of the unique cards and most of the Phoenixborns require just basics or just exhaust. So you are very, very open to it. And I do also think it's really neat, and I've seen this for constructed decks where like there's decks that play like 4 dice. One of them can just be 1 die because you can always meditate to make that die the right die, and then you only have 1 card in your deck that cares about that, or like 1 card on your spell board that cares about it. And you just need 1 die every turn. Like some really interesting decisions when it comes to deck building. This is like the blandest because everything's monocolor, but having multiple dice and managing that is really cool. All right, we get red rains, we get behavior 5. That's probably reveal. 4 or 5 attack if able, not reveal. Okay. So 1 is now, these are all news, explosive pods. Okay, this seems like a thing that we have to deal with sooner than later. So explosive pods, 2/2/1 comes in with 3 status tokens, so we can always like prune the last one with our gardener. At start of turn, you remove a counter like normal, and then if there was the last status, do tool damage to all units the opposing player controls. So if we do nothing and play no units, this doesn't do anything. Got him. We can chill with this, but in theory, we don't want to play units into this. We want to wait until it has the last token on it, and then we'll play the Rose Gardener, and then we'll take the unit. We'll take it away, which is good. Our Saria action, we could do it right here. I think we have 2 extra die, but we could just draw a card. Technically, the top of the deck is we're not going to actually actively mill the Blight, so I don't care about the mill. But if that was a 2 on the top, we could consider getting rid of it, but it's a 1, so we won't. We'll just go ahead and play our summon what's it called? Shimmerwing? So this is on the table. Costs us 1, that's it. And then we'll pass. So explosive pods removes the counter, and we roll again. Notably, also explosive pods, I don't think attacks, right? Yeah. Oh no, attacks face. Attacks face for 2. Okay, so it could attack us here. That's fine. We have 20 health. Red rains. I think 1 is just reveal. Yeah, 1 is almost always just reveal. So we just reveal. Withering Rot. Everything has status counters. Makes sense for the Blight. So comes in, it's going to attack left. Comes in with only 2 counters. At the start of Chimera's turn, remove a status counter from this. If you do, the opposing player may discard 1 card of their choice from their hand. If they do not or cannot deal 1 damage to the target Phoenixborn. So I don't want to discard cards from my hand. So this is just going to do a bunch of damage. This is just going to do 2 damage to us and then attack us for 2, which is not great. Also, I was watching your Scarlet Witch stream the other and just learned that you got laid off. Firstly, I want to offer condolences, but I'm glad you're able to stream so much more often. It's great you have this as a fallback safety net while you look for other work. Thank you. Yeah, that is a big reason why we are streaming as much as we are. We did, yeah, that did happen. Could be a lot worse, that's for sure. But I appreciate it, Mill. That's very kind. Okay, so problem is that these are in phase. So like the Rose Gardener can basically choose 1. We want to play them on our next turn, so not this turn. Explosive Pods is coming face. Withering Rod is going left. So, because this is going left, I think we'd want to next play the Chimera. And then we have to kind of commit to pruning the pods. Pruning the pods makes more sense because the pods won't do anything. The Withering Rod does something every turn. So I think we're going to start with the Chimera here. Maybe we just play the Bastion Badger. The thing too is like we did not consider this at all, but the willpower in our hand is getting worse and worse. I think 3 is a really big breakpoint, so we probably don't want to be playing any more cards in hand. So let's just do Saria's text here. So we're going to spend a heart, a class die, and you may draw a card. We will exhaust this, and we're not going to mill the enemy. Anytime that the thing draws, it just discards a card on the top of the deck. We got a dealer's choice. Okay, so we can decide which way things go, sort of. All right, back to the Blight. We remove 1. We remove 1. Withering Rot actually has something to say. So it says we either have to discard a card from our hand, which is really expensive because our cards are damaged. 1 card from their choice from their hand. If they do not deal 1 damage to the Phoenixborn, we'll just take 1. All right, you roll. They're on the enemy's killer. Yeah, I like it a lot. I don't know why my scans of this, which I got off of TTS, they're like a bit faded. Like the saturation is really low. Like this looks so soft. Like the colors are so much brighter than this. I don't know why it's like that. I don't know where these came from. So shout out to the people who are doing scans. All right, 11. That's usually pretty bad. 12 is like very, very bad. I think 12 is a red rains token. 10 to 11, attach a bleed conjuration to the opposing player's leftmost unit. Dodge that. That's good. Reveal. So we could have got bleeds just immediately in our last game. We just never rolled 11 or 12. Reveal. Oof, ow. Okay. It's they're coming for us. So 2 more counters on this. That sucks. So attacking left, attacks for 2, and we're gonna have to take 2 more damage next turn. Sucks. All right, I feel like we're priced into playing the Rose Gardener. In theory, we don't have to. Like, if we can pass, we can pass. Because, well, not that, but the explosive pods, if it goes off, it just does 2 damage to all units, and there are no units. So technically, like, if we do nothing, the pods just pop, and, like, it'll still be there. But, like, maybe we do nothing? Do we have an action that passes? No, we can increase the die 1. We don't have an action that hard passes. Because all we have Well, we could willpower, but like maybe we willpower a Withering Rot. Yeah, I think we do. It saves us 4 damage. And it saves us from dealing with the pods. Yeah, I could see that. So let's try this. We'll spend a basic. We'll use our unique card, Willpower. Deal damage to target unit with the cards in hand. So before we play any cards in hand, we'll do 3 to the Withering Rot before it starts hitting us. And this thing has blood too. So we do 2 to the Blight. Cool. And then we're not going to do a side action here. So then we'll just pass. So far, we haven't been really taxed on our dice, but Rose Gardener does it. Normally, you have to plan your side actions to get the dice in the right order, because there's a lot of turns where you need your basic and your side action, so you need your dice to line up. We might have to do a meditate, but we'll see. With the Rose Gardener, probably not. Sorry. Explosive pods. I think this just whiffs. So deal 2 damage to all units. Doesn't happen. Withering Rot will happen. I don't think we want to discard a card here. We can maybe discard a Dealer's Choice, but spending 1 card to dodge 1 damage seems pretty bad. Yeah, willpowering the new Rod. Yeah, exactly, John. I think that's 100% what we wanted to do. So this either discard a card from our hand or take 1 damage. Again, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 die left. We have 1, and this draws a card. So who knows? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So like we could play Dealer's Choice. So I'm just gonna take a damage. I'm just gonna take a damage and not consider it. And then we roll the die. All right, nice. 4 is attack if able, if not reveal. So explosive pods is gonna attack us. So it's coming in to our face for 2. There's nothing we can do about it. We'll just take 2 damage. We're getting hurt, but we have 20 health, and we ended the last game on like 14 health or something. No, like probably 10. It's back to us. So now we can start pending units. We know the Withering Rot is the next thing that's going to attack us, and it'll attack the leftmost unit. It attacks for 2, so there's a chance that we just want to pull a Badger up, because if we pull a Badger, the Badger can actually trade into the Withering Rot pretty well. So we'll summon the Badger. So summon Bastion Badger, cost us 2. Place a Bastion Badger, then you may raise 1 charm die. 1 level? 1 level. So we'll make a class into a power. We have a Badger. I, for the longest time, could not remember the name of these dice, and luckily it stands for PCB. And I can remember PCB, Power Class Basic, but I honestly have to say PCB in my head all the time. I'm constantly saying it to remember the name of these. Because Power Class Basic, like, yeah, it does not stick, but maybe it'll get better. Now, for this to be good, we're going to use our side action here to use Charm Magic. So we have an extra die on our turn, and we'll Charm the Withering Rod. So now it only attacks for 2, and the Bastion Badger attacks for 3 into it, or blocks for 3, which is good. All right, we'll pass. Well, we've done our main on our side, so our turn's over. 8. No idea what 8 is. Hopefully nobody gets bloody. Reveal, resolve the status ability. Oh yeah, right, that's a fun one. No status ability, but this is the sort of text box that was asked about before. This is the text box that does not get blanked when this is exhausted. Notice how it has that like X and it has the yellow thing. Yellow boxes like this, green boxes and blue boxes don't get blanked. So this is Overgrowth. Attacks face for 4, which is a lot. That's the most we've seen. It has 3 life, 2 blood, and it has Overgrowth 1. After this aspect or an adjacent aspect destroys the unit an opponent controls by attacking, and only by attacking, deal 1 damage to target Phoenixborn. So even when this is exhausted, it technically has text on the left and the right. So that's cool. I like the fact, yeah, these are aspects. They're part of the Neverset. And so like, this is it, you know, we get to see it in the distance as we fly away. Okay. Technically we want to defeat this first, but we can't. 3 life is hard for us to deal with. We could Dealer's Choice here and just basically say, choose 2 target opponents. That could work out fine for us. This is a 1, so it's probably not going to be very, very scary, but I could see us doing a Dealer's Choice and say, exhaust this. And then it has to exhaust probably the Withering Rot, which is the worst target for us. Then the Overgrowth can attack for 3, and we can trade into the Bastion Badger. Like, that's fine, but we'll have to also charm it, which I'm not sure we can do. With the Chimera Charmer, we get a free charm, so I think we can do it. It's just like with her placement, I think we want our Chimera Charmer next, because I think we want the biggest things on the left, because I think the things get bloody from the left. I'm not sure if the right gets bloody. Because wherever we put the Rose Gardener, I don't know, maybe we'll wait to reveal this, because this could have status tokens on it, and the Rose Gardener deals with status tokens. So I think I'll play the Chimera Charmer. Chimera Charmer. So the Chimera Charmer comes in for 1 of each. And then when it comes into play, we can subdue the Overgrowth. So now it only has 3 attack. So Chimera Charmer can trade into it. And its attack value goes up 1 for each charm die. So each unit with the charm die. So it technically has 4 attack. Side action. I'm good. We'll pass. I wish I could put pics in the chat. I have 3 cats, 1 boy and 2 girls, and I've been spending so much time lately vegging in front of your streams that anytime Persimmon the boy hears your voice come out my speaker, he comes sprinting forward, sprinting from wherever he is in the apartment in order to jump up on my lap to settle down since he knows I'll be here for a while. That is so adorable. That's really, really cute. I am now a cat caller. I'm the Pied Piper. That's awesome. Persimmon, you're welcome. All right, we're getting close. We revealed another 8. The 8 is do a status after you reveal. So if this has a status, it doesn't. We find our last aspect, which is Vine Whip. And at this point, we now know the next thing is the Withering Rot is going to attack. Vine Whip attacks right, 2/1/1. When this unit comes into play, attach a bleed conjuration to the opposing target leftmost unit. So we knew this would happen. So the Badger has to be a hero now because the Badger has 1 more turn. Technically, the sooner we pass and the round ends, like the less bleeding is going to happen. But this is there's no way to get rid of it. At the end of your turn, place 1 wound token. So the Badger has to get to work. So that's bad. Vine Whip sucks. Like it does only had 1 health, but it's rough. That just is going to hurt your leftmost. Okay, so it's back to us. We know it's going to be attack left, attack middle, attack right. If these defeat units, the Overgrowth fires. Okay, we have 2 more units. We want to summon the Shimmerwing because we need to summon 1 every turn for it to have a chance to pop off. Because we need 2 next turn. So we're going to summon the Shimmerwing. So we'll spend our class die. We'll draw a card. It's an Arrogance, which is the 1 card that we used to win last round. It will put a Shimmerwing into play. Arrogance just means we can block a guard unit. It has to be a unit though. And Shimmerwing, excuse me. This doesn't have text. It's just if we have 2 of them, we can do a ritual. Now, Saria only also has, she has Battlefield 5. Okay, that actually is a lot better. We were actually very much restricted by Astrea's Battlefield 4 because we do want to spawn multiple Shimmerwings. That was our main. We don't have a side action here, I don't think. So the Badger's going to get 1 blood, and that's it. I'm going to play in the Neverwinter event. Nothing beats playing with actual physical cards. I printed a couple of decks that looked cool. Now to learn how these work, I chose Baz in a Bangoon deck. Baz is the most fun. I think Bangoon's a lot of fun too. There's a big chance your opponents won't know how to play against Bangoon, let alone Baz, so that's always good. But they have a lot of tricks, and you can have a lot of like your secrets, which is fun to enjoy. Yeah, break a leg. Yeah, that sounds really fun. All right, so all the aspects are revealed, so they're just going to activate from left to right of the ones that can attack. This one can. Withering Rod's going to attack for 2. It's going to attack into the Bastion Badger. The Bastion Badger can trade into this, or we can block with our face. If we block with our face, then next turn, the Badger will survive. Overgrowth will attack for 3, and then the Badger can trade into Overgrowth. That's probably better, because the Overgrowth is harder to defeat. It ultimately doesn't matter that much. But technically, Overgrowth has worse text, because if we block with our face, so Overgrowth says after this aspect or adjacent aspect attacks and kills, it deals 1 damage to the Phoenixborn. So if we put the Bastion Badger in the way, the Bastion Badger saves, us taking 2 damage to the face from the Withering Rod. Sorry, the Withering Rod only attacked for 1. So it only saves 1 damage to the face. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just use Saria's block here, and we'll take the Withering Rot to the face. So actually the Vine Whip, we'll have to unit guard with the Chimera Charmer. We'll be fine. So it does 1 to our face. We'll exhaust to deal with that. As much as exhaust is different than putting an exhaustion token. Hopefully that's obvious. Okay, that's us. Back to us, it's our main. We have 1 die left. We probably play the Rose Gardener. Probably. The other thing that we can do is charm something. The Rose Gardener is like, okay. Having your rightmost might be weak to blood. The Rose Gardener goes down real fast. We might want to keep the Rose Gardener in hand because it has a really good text for next turn. Yo, Moon Galaxy, how's it going? I've never seen this game before and have no clue what you're going on, but it makes everything entertaining. Off-stream makes everything entertaining. Thank you. This is called Ashes. We played it on stream 3 weeks ago. If you want to watch the VOD, it'd be linked below, but we teach how this game is. I think if you follow this, it should be relatively intuitive how it plays out, but it's a PvP, technically dice economy card game that also had a PvE element that was introduced later in your life. It's pretty good. It's pretty slick. I'm into it. I've been getting into it. I picked up the whole collection somewhat recently, and it's been nice to like slowly dive into it and learn the game at the same time. Okay, it's us. Bastion Badger will bleed 1. It's okay. Badger will be alive. It's a conjuration. Cannot feel pain. So Shimmering attack does nothing. The Vine Whip will attack the Shimmerwing, so we have to block with the Chimera Charmer. Here we're legally allowed to pass with no penalty because there's no face down aspects. The only thing we can consider doing is the Rose Gardener, or we consider doing a charm. I think we'll just pass here. I think we're just going to straight pass. So we're just going to pass. No side action, no main action. And it'll go to the Blight. I guess the one thing we can do is Dealer's Choice, which like Dealer's Choice could use our last die. The problem with Dealer's Choice, though, is that it's a side action and we don't have the right die. So we'd have to meditate to make this die, which is a side action, and Dealer's Choice next turn. The issue is like Dealer's Choice next turn is useless. So we might have wanted to do a side action last round if we didn't. Because we have one main, one side action, and we can't take two side actions. So we'll just hard pass. All right, Overgrowth is now going to attack us. It's going to attack our face for 3 because it's charmed. So we're going to put the Bastion Badger in the way. The Bastion Badger is going to exhaust the counter. Mind you, the Bastion Badger should only be on 1 life because it was meant to bleed at the end of our turn, but it has 3 health. So it's going to do 3 damage to the Overgrowth, defeating it, which does blood 2, and it's going to defeat the Bastion Badger. Overgrowth does have text, though. When it defeats something, we have to take 1 damage to the face, which is acceptable. All right, so good trade, good way to use this unit before the blood mattered, and we got rid of the scariest unit on the table before the Vine Whip went off. Okay, I don't think we're going to be able to clear the full table, because we only have 1 more attack here. Actually, no, that's why we probably play the Rose Gardener. But the Rose Gardener only attacks for 1. So I don't know if we can trade the whole table. The art immediately stood out to me, especially when I assume are the enemies. Yes, the art is quite nice. These cards are always striking for what they look like. Put down Rose to counter the Vine Whip. It's a fine trade. Man, I hate trading 1-for-1s, but you might be right. It might be a fine trade. It just uses our dice. I don't want to float a dice. Floating a dice is the worst thing we can do. So we'll play Rose Gardener. I'm assuming that's a full name, right? Not a profession. So we'll play Rose Gardener. When this unit comes into play, you may remove a status token. Want. So 1 aspect is going to stay. I'm assuming the aspect that's going to stay is the explosive pods, funny enough. Hopefully that's okay, but we can defeat the explosive pods, hopefully with a Shimmer Wing next round. We'll play Rose Gardener as a main. We won't take a side action. We're out of dice. We'll pass. So now the Vine Whip's going to attack. It attacks our leftmost, so we'll just trade with the Rose Gardener. We'll exhaust the Rose Gardener to trade. Favorite unit. Shameful to see it go that fast. The Vine Whip's trades. Vine Whip has blood 1. We do 1 blood. All right. The Blight is done. And luckily, we're not... Okay, no, we actually are going to get 1 Red Rains token because we can't defeat both of these because the Shimmer Wing is useless. But we're going to attack with the Chimera Charmer. Issue with the Chimera Charmer, it attacks for 3. We're going to be attacking into the Withering Rot, which I'm more scared of. However, here we have to roll the die. If it's a 9 to 12, the Blight will take it and jump in the way. Otherwise, the Rot goes down, and that's a huge thing. I actually think the art for the enemy today is a lot better than the newer enemy he fought for the last stream. I think it's more evocative because the other ones were like, you know, just the lady with the spear. Like, it didn't seem that intimidating. These are plants. They're much more fun. All right, so hopefully a low number. 4, nailed it. Okay, so the Chimera does 3 because the Chimera only has 2 printed attack, but gets +1 for every unit with a die on it, a charm die. So it does 3 to the Withering Rot, which knocks it out. And the Withering Rot has blood 2 on it. So the villains goes down to 23. So we started with a harder villain, but like we're very good at dealing with board state. We're going to pass here because we have nothing else to do, which means we're going to add 1 token to 1 Red Rains token because there's 1 aspect. But that was a way better round 1. Now, admittedly, they're going to go first. So we have 1 turn to deal with explosive pods. Oh, sorry. No, it has 3 counters. We have 2 turns to deal with it, but we'll pass because we did not defeat every aspect. For each aspect, the Blight gets a counter. That's it. We'll clean up. So exhaustion, recovery, all that happens. Okay. We have to refill its battlefield up to what it needs. So we're playing on standard 2. So it just gets 5. Whatever's from the top of the deck. Doesn't matter if these line up with what's on the chart. Wow, 2/2/2 is pretty bad. So this will be a rougher end, that's for sure. Then we can roll our dice. We have to. 2 power. Okay, well, this is average. 5 class, 3 basic. Cool. We can now just choose to discard any of these cards. I honestly think I'm going to discard both of these cards, and it's because I don't like them. Maybe if I don't play them, I'm not going to ever like them. But these cards seem ultimately way better in multiplayer. Arrogance stops somebody for blocking, which is really good if you want to target a unit. But I don't know how many unit guards there are. So that's not that big of a unit. Big of a challenge, excuse me. And Dealer's Choice just feels a bit awkward in PvE where you have to pick the worst decision. So we're going to get rid of it. What's the purpose of the dice? So the dice are our economy. So we only have 10 dice. It's hard to get new dice. Yeah, they're kind of like your mana. So if you see a card like this called Chimera Charmer, you see on the top right corner, this is the dice that we have to expend or exhaust to play it. So we have to spend 1 power die, which is rare. It's on 2 of 6 side. 1 of 6 side, excuse me, that we can roll. There's a class die, which is on 3 of 6 side. And then there's the basic die, which is on 2 of 6 side. So more powerful effects generally require harder to roll dice. That being said, you can take a side action to rearrange your dice and change the sides. So it's not impossible. If you roll bad, you're not kind of totally cooked. It just changes when you can do things. But that's the basic idea of this game. This game limits on what you can do on a turn by only giving you 10 dice, and then you have to roll them good to some extent. We're also only playing one color of die. You can build multicolor decks where you actually have like 5 dice of one color, 5 dice of another color, and then that'll also limit. If you draw a hand that's all requiring, you know, one type of dice, but you have 2 types of dice, it gets interesting. All right, Snakebite. So this is nice. This is just a free Charm Magic, technically on-rate Charm Magic ++, and it can ping for 1, which is nice. A Summon Bastion Badger. I don't love 2 Bastion Badgers. They're not bad, but I'd rather have 2 Summon Shimmerwings. Another Snakebite. It technically does have focus text, so if we stack 2 of them, but it doesn't really matter. Farewell is perfect. We might just Farewell off the top. It just does 1 for 1 and a bit of mill, which is not the best, but it's fine. And we have another Chimera Charmer, so that's pretty good as well. So technically, if we spend this hand, this costs 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This can cost X. We have 8, 9, 10, 11 sync on the table, so we definitely won't be able to play everything. Okay, now, technically, and I haven't been marking this on the stream, but for round 2, the Chimera goes first, so Chimera goes first. Oh, also it refills the explosive pods, and at the top of the turn, it will remove a counter, so we have 2 more turns. This will just go off. Oh, there's a little bug there. Okay, let's see if we get another thing. Go, little bug. I don't want to smush you. All right. Last Red Rains token, so they get demoted. And we put on our second of 3 Red Rains. When the Red Rains tokens go off, the ultimate goes off. I'm pretty sure the ultimate bleeds our left unit. Okay, and we rolled a 10. So behavior, 10 is, I don't know, 10 is probably not good. Attach a bleed conjuration to the leftmost target unit. Our Chimera Charmer is doomed. Chimera Charmer, do something. And then we reveal. Mill decks are pretty solid. Yeah. Oof. This is very bite coded. Very snare coded. Horrific Gaze. Horrific Gaze. The opposing player, Phoenixborn, cannot guard and it's considered to be exhausted. Yo, that sucks. That's real bad. I don't want that. So not being able to guard is bad because this Horrific Gaze targets our Shimmerwing. That's not amazing. I think knocking out the explosive pods with the Shimmerwing combo is probably what we're trying to do here. This thing only attacks for 2, but we need to deal with it, and we didn't draw into a Gardener. Again, in 2 turns, the explosive pods pops off. The other way we can delete is just by playing Farewell and spending 2 dice, but I think we might as well develop our Eternity Flame and go from there. Yeah, we can't block, and we are technically exhausted, so we can't do Zaria's text, which is good. Yeah, not good, but it's good for them, I guess. We also want to use the Chimera Charmer sooner than later, so we could also just attack with the Chimera Charmer, because the Chimera Charmer is going to bleed out in a couple turns. It doesn't have unit guards. The Chimera Charmer like cannot do anything besides attack on left, and we don't see an attack on left. So I could also see us attacking it into the explosive pods with the Charmer instead of like doing anything reckless here. The issue is like 1 out of 3 times the Blight gets in the way, and that's a really bad trade. We don't want that. We definitely don't want that. Okay, so I don't know. I think we'll just summon a Shimmerwing, see what happens, draw a card, set up our combo. We have the first thing is attacking center, so this Shimmerwing is not really in an issue. And even if the Shimmerwing gets bled, we can just like get rid of it when we need it. So we're gonna spend a class. We're gonna draw a card. Just in time, our best friend Rose Gardener will deal with explosive pods. That is sick. 10 out of 10. And then we'll exhaust this to summon a Shimmerwing, which now that we have the pair, they can do the cool thing, which is Yu-Gi-Oh together and become a transfusion. It's been a while since I've played Yu-Gi-Oh. Transfusion? That doesn't sound right. Fusion monster? Well, we'll fusion them into the Eternity Flame, which has just ridiculous text. All right, explosive pods goes off. So we lose 1 counter. Technically, there's a die roll that just pops this though. Wait, we should not do this. Okay, I forgot about this, but there is one behavior roll that says resolve the status ability on the rightmost aspect. So if this explosive pod goes off, oh, mind you, this thing bleeds. We lose both of our Shimmerwings. What we did right now is risky and probably wasn't correct. We're going to play it as allies, but if we roll an 8 or 9 here, it is like an unmitigated disaster. 4. Oh my God. Okay, good. That was really bad if that actually fired. So we get 1 of these, which this board is not flat, so it's a bit tricky, and we just have to reveal. Oh, sorry, attack if not available, reveal. So I guess the explosive pods is attacking us in the face. We could put the Chimera in the way. That stops the Rose Gardener from being necessary, but the explosive pods is definitely attacking us for 2. It's going into the face. If we defeat the explosive pods, it's defeated, so we don't have to worry about it. That seems fine. Like the Chimera is going to go down next turn to the blood after it guards, but I could see it wanting to guard here. The best case is the Chimera Charmer blocks something that has 3 health, which these probably have 3 health. I'm assuming most of these 2s do. But I think it's just going to be heroic here because I don't think we're going to have enough to do with it. So we'll exhaust the Chimera Charmer. It'll counter. So it takes 2. But it will return 2 fire. And so the explosive pods, it gets knocked out. It has blood 1, so the villain takes 1. By the villain, I mean the Chimera. It's not an all or nothing strategy, more of a spectrum of how melee decks are. Lots of aggro and burn decks with a mill pivot for off matchups. But against Chimera, you have to be all into mill, right? It doesn't seem like incidental mill makes sense in Chimera. Okay, so the worst case scenario is now the horrific gaze can fire and it can attack us and it'll attack a Shimmerwing and we cannot block with our Phoenixborn. So if we want to protect our Eternity Flame combo, which of course we do, the name is amazing, we're going to have to summon the Bastion Badger or at least put something on the right. Maybe it's better to play the Chimera Charmer and just put it on the right, but the Chimera Charmer charming the gaze doesn't actually make a lot of sense for our board state. So I think we're just going to summon a Bastion Badger here because the Bastion Badger lines up pretty well. So we're going to spend basic in class, PCB, place a Bastion Badger, then you may raise a charm die 1 level. So we'll make this into a power. I don't know if we need more of these. Technically, I should know if I need more of these than these, but we'll see. We'll summon a Bastion Badger exhausting this. We did. So the Bastion Badger is here. It has unit guard, so it can block for units. And when it is blocking, yeah, I think we do. The Horrific Gaze attacks for 2. It takes 2. It doesn't trade for the Horrific Gaze. I mean, acceptable. Acceptable. We won't do any charming here because I don't want to charm the Horrific Gaze. It doesn't seem like a great use of this. All right, it's back to Chimera. Blood allowing you to progress your win condition while dealing with threats is pretty nice. Yeah, that's the big thing. And that's why, like, in this game, I don't really care about face damage because if you just deal with the table, it usually does enough blood damage that, like, you win eventually. All right. Rolling pretty hot on Reigns. We roll a 4, which is just attack if able, if not reveal. So the Horrific Gaze is going to come into us. Now that it's attacked, its text is exhausted, which is nice. So we can do Saria to draw a card. But it's going to be attacking our rightmost unit for 2. Technically, it's not exhausted yet, so we can't put Saria in the way. It's exhausted once the attack resolves. I'm just corner cutting in case I forget, which I can. So it's going to attack the Bastion Badger. If we exhaust the Bastion Badger, it'll counter for 1 damage because this doesn't have a charm on it. So we won't counter. We'll just take 2. So if the Bastion Badger ever gets a blood on it, we just need to use the Bastion Badger right away, which is totally doable. We'll just take 2, I think. And that's it. All right, so we know it's going to reveal, guaranteed. It could attach a blood to this, but it's fine. We have so many cards in our hand. We don't want to charm anything, so I don't want to play any of the cards that add charm. So I think we might just take like a soft pass turn here, and we're just going to stack a second Summon Badger. The other options we could draw with Saria, but I think we actually can use most of these die, so I don't know if we need to. But we'll just stack another Summon Bastion Badger so we can exhaust that one separately. They're technically in the same line, but they have their own tokens and dice and stuff like that. So that's it. All right. Oh, the Chimera dies to blood. That should have happened last turn. Excuse me. Okay, we'll roll. Sick. Another Red Reigns. We're going to get ulted for sure at the end of this round. We roll a 6. So we get raise 1 basic rage die 1 level. I didn't know that was there. Reveal. Let's see how bad these are. Overgrowth again. Okay, so that's a pretty bad one. At least the thing on the left is exhausted. This thing will attack for 3. So if the Bastion Badger, we can put it in the way. And if we want to just put a charm die on that, it's a good spot. So the thing that if we pull the Eternity Flame for the fusion combo, it just does 2 damage. Oh no, it defeats it. That's a good card to defeat, I think, because it saves us in the face a lot. So I think we are just going to defeat it. So let's defeat it. So we'll do Snakebite. So we'll play this as our side action. It costs a power die. And then when it comes into play, we can immediately put it on something. Now we have the ability to ping things that have the dice on it, which is quite nice. Okay. Then for our main action, we'll do the Shimmerwing text, which says we spend a basic and we discard this unit and another Shimmerwing and we spawn the Eternity Flame. This puts the Bastion Badger on the left, which is like maybe a bit sketchy with 1 life left, but maybe that's perfect because this is the one we want to get caught in the blood if it starts bleeding. Eternity Flame comes in. Combo. When this unit comes into play, you may destroy a target unit opponent controls with a charm die on it. So we'll destroy the Overgrowth. It has blood 2. And if we did it, we do another 2 damage. So that's blood 4, which is sick. I mean, like, I don't know if this is the most efficient play because it's like a lot of dice just to do this combo, but I'll be honest, sometimes your card game just needs to have an effect that feels good to do. And does the Eternity Flame feel good to do? 100%. I feel so good paying this all the time. Just like the best thing you could ask for. Free damage, knocks out a thing, sick. As much as it does functionally cost like 5.5 die or whatever, the math is not great. All right, so we might get ulted right here. We do, in fact. So this will get us our third red rains token, which means we remove 3 red rains token because this thing has ult 3. I haven't seen a Dragonborn or a Chimera that has anything different than ult 3. So let's go. Yeah, flame on, exactly. All right, so we do the ultimate. I don't think it's that bad, but it's going to spawn another a thing on the table, like another aspect. So remove red range tokens, done it. Discard all cards it doesn't control, done it. Attach a bleed conjure ash to the leftmost. Imagine I said that sentence correctly. So this Bastion Badger will attack into Horrific Gaze before it gets knocked out, that's for sure. Add a face down aspect card, so at least it's a 1. We could consider milling the 2 using Saria's text, because 2 is more blood, but more threat. So it's up to you to decide whether you're ready for that. And then remove this card and behavior. So we're now on ult 2, behavior 2, which should be worse. And we rolled, what did we roll? Where's the die? We rolled a 5. Cool. So now we have to do behavior off the second behavior, which is now 5 to 7, raise 2 basic die 1 level. Jesus, calm down. Reveal. This is new, Vampiric Roots. So Vampiric 2, 4/3/2, so big numbers. After this unit destroys a unit an opponent controls by attacking, remove 2 wound tokens from the Chimera. So it actually does heal. Oh, the little, there's Leo and the little Finch. That's sick. I am now for the first time realizing that every 2 blood character has blood 2. I'm not joking. I'm realizing now that all of these have blood 1, all of these have blood 2. I'm always checking. There's no reason to check. They always have what the back of the card says. Good work, Andre. Okay, Bastion Badger. I think we'll try and do something heroic with the Bastion Badger before it succumbs to bleed. Again, they can't feel pain. We're going to use the Snake Bite because we might as well, I guess. I don't think the card in hand actually matters. So we're going to Snake Bite side action, which lets us charm the Vampiric Roots. And then the Bastion Badger is going to go on its final march. So it's going to attack the Vampiric Roots. It technically has 3 attack, which will knock out the Vampiric Roots. And notably, the Vampiric Roots only triggers when it defeats by attacking. So this actually will not do the healing. So we have to roll the die and then just hope on doesn't roll a 9 to 12 because it's a huge swing. Fudge. So not only is that bad, but the Bastion Badger is now technically, from my understanding, battling something that does not have a charm die. So it just does a 1. That sucks. Bastion Badger now succumbs to bleed at the end of the turn. I don't think we had a side action. Oh, we did a side action, so we don't have a side action. All right, that's us. At least the Vampiric Roots here will attack. No, it'll attack our... it attacks for 3. It trades into Eternity Flame. We don't want that, so this might be a bit sketchy. All right, Blight. 12? That can't be good. It's usually not good. Hey, Takuya, how's it going? Welcome. We're playing the Blight of Neverset, which is a Phoenixborn Chimera. Place the Scarlet Seed conjured aspect on the board. If you cannot, okay, so while the Scarlet Seed is showing up, I don't think it'll show up on any of the cards. In the Bloom aspect, this showed up a lot. At least we still have the Gardener for it, but in this is the only way it can show up, I think. So this will remove a counter every turn. I think it might remove 1 faster if we roll a bad behavior, but once this pops, we get a Red Rains token. We also rolled a 12, which is just reveal from this point forward. Yikes. There's more of them. Look at all these aspects. Look at our board state. I think we have a problem here. We definitely have a problem here. How do we clear all this stuff? These are both going to attack, which means Eternity Flame is going to trade into one of them. It's not good. This now attacks for 3 because it's charmed. We have ping for 1, ping for 1. That doesn't do enough. We could do a Farewell, but we only have 4 dice left. Farewell, we have to spend 3 dice, which we have to make one of them a class die, which is not a huge cost, but we'd have to do that next turn. And then we can knock out a Vampiric Roots. We could play Rose Gardener, who could trade with the Scarlet Seed. But if we play Rose Gardener, the Vampiric Roots will target Rose Gardener. At least the first one will. We'll block with our face. I want to play Rose Gardener when it pops, but we might not want to be greedy about that. Yeah, we are not in a good spot. I think we have to play the Chimera Charmer and do well with it. Yeah, and at least this thing will like attack for 4, which will trade into the Vampiric Roots, and the Vampiric Roots will attack for 3, which will this will survive. So I think we have to play this. So we'll play 1 of each, leaving us with just 1 die left. We'll play it. It has Subdue, so we're going to go ahead and subdue this Vampiric Roots. So this Chimera Charmer has 4 attack, for whatever that's worth. It actually doesn't matter. And that's it. No side action for us. We will pass. We could actually play side action, but I think playing the Rose Gardener and holding it is going to be fine, because passing next turn might be acceptable. The Scarlet Seed loses the counter, and we roll. All right, basic 1. 1 is just reveal. 1 is usually pretty non-threatening. So now we're allowed to pass easily. Oh no, blood. This keeps happening. When this unit comes into play, attach a bleed conjuration to the leftmost. So our Eternity Flame is going to go down at the end of the round. I mean, we spent so many resources on this. but it is bleeding. So at the end of every round, or every of our turn, it's going to take a damage. So we have to use it sooner than later. Ouch. The problem is I don't want to attack with it, because when we attack with it, there's a chance that the Blight gets in the way. But with blood, you're kind of just forced to attack into the face at some point, or into a unit. Okay, so we can... The next thing we know is the Vampiric Roots will attack Chimera. It's attacking for 3, guaranteed. The Chimera will survive. The Chimera says this unit attack value is increased by 1 for each unit the opponent controls, so it doesn't care if the Chimera is attacking or not. So if we exhaust the Chimera Charmer, it'll trade with the Vampiric Roots, and the Vampiric Roots will be defeated. Seems good. Rose Gardener can knock out the last Scarlet Seed counter, so we don't have to deal with that text, and then trade with the Vine Whip in 2 turns, which is perfect. So the issue is we were going to leave 1 card on the table, but if we get lucky, we'll be able to deal with all of the table besides this. This is actually not the bad spot. We can deal with this. We need to keep this die. So I think the only thing we can do here is Flame block into this, which heals 2 from the Chimera, which is fine. Then Chimera blocks into that one, trades, fine. And then we play this. Yeah, we're actually okay here. I don't think we have to attack. We'll pass. Oh no, because the Eternity Flame will never get attacked by the Vampiric Roots. We have to attack with the Eternity Flame, so we will. The Eternity Flame is attacking. It just has, at this point, no text, but it's going to bleed out, so we got to use it. And we're going to be attacking, let's just say the first Vampiric Roots. It doesn't matter. So we're attacking it for 3. It's going to attack back for 3 because it's not exhausted, so they will trade, but this text won't fire. But we have to not roll a 9 to 12. If we don't roll a 9 to 12, we're good. If we roll a 9 to 12, it's a lot worse. That's a 6. You can see the dot. It's a 6, so we're fine. The Eternity Flame deals 3 damage to the Vampiric Roots, knocking it out. We do blood 2. And we clear 1 more off the table. The Chimera's health attack went down by 1, but that's still good because it still has 3 attack, which is just enough. So the Blight is down to 15. The Eternity Flame is knocked out, so we don't have to worry about the blood. It is a Conjuration. It doesn't feel pain. Start of turn, Scarlet Seed goes down 1. Your read earlier on the precons is 100% accurate. The Charm set did not land like some of the other expansions as it was a mixed bag of cards. Really? I like it a lot. But like a lot of these cards don't make sense in the PvE context, I don't think. I just think like the Rose Gardener is so cool. Farewell seems fine. I just don't know if they're efficient or not. All right, now the Vampiric Roots is attacking us. It's only attacking for 3 because it's charmed. It's going to attack our Chimera Charmer, and we'll exhaust our Chimera Charmer to guarantee that it will do the trade. So it's going to do 3 to the Chimera Charmer, which will technically survive because it has 4 health and it will recover 2. But the Chimera Charmer will do 3 back, which defeats the Vampiric Roots. It did not do its text, so the Blight is down to 13, which is great. And this is perfect timing on our part because for a last die, we'll play Rose Gardener, which will pay 1. Rose Gardener comes into play. When it comes into play, you may remove a status counter, so we'll remove the Scarlet Seed. I guess we're not going to be able to defeat everything here, huh? Yeah, we're not going to have to. But that's it. And so now the Vine Whip's going to attack us. It's going to attack Rose Gardener. And so we have to decide whether we want to trade Rose Gardener into the Vine Whip or have a 50% chance of, or like a 66% chance of dealing with the Scarlet Seed. I think we'd rather deal with the Vine Whip because it has scary text. As much as the scary text is on reveal. Oh, look at the little Bastard Badger there. Oh my god, I didn't realize the Bastard Badger is getting kind of messed up. Poor little guy. Oh. Yeah, this art's good. I like this art. I think we'll just block with the Rose Gardener, which means there's going to be 2 aspects on the table. So we're going to add 2 Red Rains tokens, so we won't get ulted immediately. But I think that's the best we have. So Rose Gardener will once again get in the way of another Vine Whip. This keeps happening. So we'll block. They'll counter. The Vine Whip goes down, blood 1. Down to 12. So not too bad. Rose is knocked. Okay. It's us. We have nothing to do. We're diced out. We'll pass. It's them. They have nothing to do. They'll pass. Notably, the Scarlet Seed is one of the few cards that I think they added the rules to this expansion and further on that if the aspect has none of these icons, it doesn't attack. So it just passes. So we both consecutively pass. So it's the end of the round, and we'll be going first on the next round. We don't have 12 damage on the face just to go to face, so we can't just win on the spot. But we'll do recovery 2 on this, and everything unexhausts. Importantly, this will get 3 counters back, which maybe that's a problem. We'll find out. We'll play 2 Rose Gardeners. These already. We'll reroll our dice, but we'll fill the board, and this has threat 5, so we put 5. It's a 2/1/1, so not too bad. And because there's 2 aspects, excuse me, we have to put 2 Red Rains tokens. So we're 1 Red Rains token away from advancing, which will probably happen this round. Okay, that's that. We do go first. We'll roll. We can decide after we roll whether we want to keep Farewell in their hand, but Farewell, like, for 1 die, can knock out the Scarlet Seed if it's bad. So we'll probably keep it. All right, that was this. No power die. That's weird. I mean, one basic is not bad, but no power die, a bit stinky. That's not, I've never rolled like this. That's weird. Okay. So we're probably gonna have to meditate unless we draw Rose Gardener. And meditate is a side action you're always allowed that just says discard any amount of cards from your hand, the top of your deck, or from your ready board, which we can discard a Bash and Badger probably. And you can just change the side of a die for every card you discard. All right, we'll keep this, I think. Because this thing definitely uses power die, or sorry, class die. We have lots of them. Willpower, nice. So we can just snipe something. This has 2 health, this has 1 health, so like not amazing. Ideally, if they reveal 2 really early, willpower is a lot better. That's our unique card. Another farewell, so we have too much burn. Dealer's choice, not good. Snakebite, shit. We got no allies in this hand. That's not good. So the only allies we can summon are 2 Bash and Badgers and a Shimmerwing. And the Shimmerwing's useless. Man, I wonder if we should not have kept in this. I'm going to just check what happens result-oriented if we didn't keep the farewell. We would have dropped into another dealer's choice. I'm not upset about that. Definitely seemed like more of a struggle than your fight against the Dragon Lady. Yeah, the Dragon Lady, from my understanding, is easy. And the decks in the box are good. So far, we've been struggling a bit more today, but I'll be honest. I've been playing this game on heroic level 1 with the precons and still haven't dropped a game yet. But it hasn't, you're always required to make the correct decisions and luck can go poorly with the die. So like, it's still always exciting, but it hasn't been the most difficult yet. We actually had a rough game, our first game tonight. It was looking pretty bad for a moment. Okay, so this hand is not great. At a minimum, we could attack face for 3 damage, but it doesn't do enough. The Chimera Charmer is targeted. This is right. This doesn't attack. But we have like 2 cards that can do damage. So that's fine. We have a willpower that does damage. We want to do this one first. And then these that don't do anything. So we literally have no board presence. I think we're always going to start with a Badger. We can also start with Saria's Text. And maybe we start with Saria's Text just to draw a card. I could see that being right. Getting a Badger on the table is okay. It's not a huge target right now, but it's a way to use our die without actually having to do anything. And I think the Summon Bastion Badger actually allows us to change one of our die. Yeah, that actually seems important to have access to that die. So I think we'll start with this. So we're going to spend the 1 basic we have in the 1 class of the other 9. And so we're going to place a Badger on the right. The Badger, mind you, is Unit Guard, which is flexible. And then we can raise one of these once. So we at least will have a power die. Side action, I don't think we're going to charm any of these, so we'll just pass. Their turn, Scarlet Seed loses a counter. We roll. All right, good that we didn't roll Red Rain's thing. 6 is, what's 6? 6 is. Raise 2 base. I mean, okay, we're getting ulted for sure. Okay, so 2 of these go up. So we're pretty close to things being bad. And then we reveal. So if this has 4 health, we'll just nuke it. Oh, Withering Rot, right. This one's worth nuking. This one just does face damage for a while, which is like not the end of the world. But I mean, it's cheap to discard this for 1 card and 1 die, so I don't know why we wouldn't. We know the other ones are only going to be 1 blood, so they should be easier to deal with. So at the start of Chimera's turn, you remove a status token. If we don't discard a card from our hand, we have to take a damage, which I don't want to discard cards from our hand. So I think we'll just take an action here. This is an efficient way to do damage. We'll play Willpower. We'll spend a basic, which for us will be a class, because you can always spend up, you can't spend down. Deal damage to a target unit opponent equal to the number of cards in your hand. We have 4 in our hand, so the Withering Rot will take 4 damage, and which means it has blood too. So we're on 10. On the table here, we have up to 4 damage, which we can go face. So we have to always keep that in mind, whether we have lethal or not. Scarlet Seed, let's see if we get ulted. In theory, putting more characters on the table is not good if we're going to get ulted, so the Badger might have been a mistake. We're getting ulted. So we have to remove 3, which we just got the 3rd one, and we have to do the ult, which I think there's going to be a lot of blood. Just blood. It's not that big of a deal ultimately because I like deck building, so I can build one for her because we play. Sorry, how's the precon for Astrea? If I manage to convince my wife to give this a try, I suspect that she'll want to play it and she doesn't really like deck building. Astrea is like the max control deck. We did play Astrea precon in the game before this. Her like ultimate card was good. It just wiped the board, but it wipes all your cards too. So you have to play really passively and blow the board up, which is like possible. Like we could actually just like straight pass all the time, I think, with 20 health. Because like the only thing when this ultimate goes off is blood, but if we have nothing on the table. So she's cool. She has good text. She has a really, really strong text. Astrea's base precon is pretty weak, unfortunately. It has a lot of solid cards, but a focus win condition. Okay, hold on. That is like the Astrea precon when you buy Astrea as a package, right? Not the Astrea precon here, right? Because I know she's a very strong control of Phoenixborn. While we get her sea legs under her. Yeah, her text is going to be annoying. I think your partner will like it. I don't know how good the deck is. Apparently, not amazing. She got the best board wipe in the set. Yeah. All right, so discard all cards on Chimera's battlefield that does not own. Attach a bleed counter to the 2 rightmost units. So unfortunately, the Badger and the Chimera they got a shelf life and it's not very long anymore. So they're bleeding. We have to deal with them. So they'll be heroes. Add a face down aspect card. It's a 1, so not too bad. Again, we know this has 1, 2, 3, 4 blood on the table, so we're not going to be able to win this round unless we go face. And then the behavior increases. We rolled an 8. Yeah, we rolled an 8, right? So behavior 3. Yeah, we're on behavior 3. Reveal. Sick. Then resolve the status ability. No, the Scarlet Seed's going to go off. Okay, we tried to... Oh, actually, no, it's not. So instead, the Explosive Pods is going to resolve. And then Explosive Pods is going to remove 1 of its counters, so it'll have 2 left. When this clears, our board will be wiped. But honestly, our board will be wiped just about incidentally by the time that happens. So if the next thing attacks will be Horrific Gaze, which is attacking right, we have to remember, I was going to use our ability. We can't use our ability. Horrific Gaze says we're considered to be exhausted. So we have to remember that text until this thing is dead or exhausted. But at the end of every round, Chimera Charmer will take a damage. Bastion Badger will take a damage. So we probably want to do something with them smart. The Scarlet Seed is about to pop, which will add another Red Range token. Honestly, at this point, the ultimate, I don't think it matters that much. It just adds another aspect card, which like, I don't think that matters. It mills us, but might honestly not matter. So I don't know if we have to deal with the Scarlet Seed. I think it just going on its own is probably fine. Okay, so we want to use the Chimera Charmer and we want to use the Bastion Badger. In theory, we don't have to do it this turn because next turn the Bastion Badger will be on 1. We can attack with it. This will be on 3. On 2 turns from now, we can attack with it. So we don't actually have to attack right now. We could farewell the Horrific Gaze, I guess. The Charm and Time set before this slapped, I think they pumped the brakes on Charm in this expansion and added a few missing tools. Cool. Yeah, I have no idea about like the overall card pool, so I can't say anything smart about that. I can just say which cards I've enjoyed playing so far. And like, I don't remember the Charm cards from the original core set. Okay, so we can play this. It's our main in the side, and we can spend like 2 of our class die. And admittedly, like Farewell is not bad on this turn because we don't actually have that many dice that we can use. We can summon another Badger, which is fine. That will give us another power die, which we want. We have to summon the Shimmerwing, which is 1 class die, but I think a Farewell for 2 seems fine here to deal with the pods. So we'll spend our main on the side. We'll spend 2 pods. Sorry, 2 on this to deal with the pods. Or do we deal with the Gaze? I think we'll deal with the Gaze because the pods are not going to matter. So this will do 2 damage to the Horrific Gaze, knocking it out. Blood 1. That's our turn. All right, Scarlet Seed and Explosive Pods goes off. So Scarlet Seed is going to fire. So now it will destroy itself. And we place 1 Red Range token, which I'm pretty sure the ultimate 3 is actually not scary, but maybe I misread it. So maybe we'll regret that. It rolls 7 and a basic. So let's see what behavior 3 says for us. So 7 is reveal, attack. Yeah, so it's super aggro now. Oh, sorry, these are meant to bleed first. Vine Whip. Oh, actually bleed stacks. Vine Whip says when this unit comes into play, attach a bleed conjuration to the opposing target's leftmost unit. And bleed is not unique. So the Chimera Charm actually has bleed too. And very important, whenever a unit has an ability with a numeral next to it, like bleed 1, if you give it bleed 1 again, it just numerically stacks. So technically the Chimera Charmer just has bleed 2. Because this doesn't say to the leftmost unit that doesn't have a bleed. So the Chimera Charmer will get knocked out this round. So we should use the Chimera Charmer to attack. But yeah, technically it has bleed 2. Which means we need to attack the Explosive Pods and just hope. So that's what we're going to do. Main action, Chimera Charmer will attack. So it'll attack the Explosive Pods. It's attacking for 2. Explosive Pods only has 2 health. The issue is, if we whiff this attack, we also lose the Bastion Badger. Oh, excuse me. It should be explosive. So we're attacking for 2. We want to roll less than 9. 4. It's so scary to roll the die. Oh my god, is it frightening. So the pods will get knocked out before it fires. We'll do blood 1. All right, end of the turn, bleed 2, bleed 1. Charmer is out. It did feel pain, I'm sorry to say. So it's just the Vine Whip and 1 more card. Basic 9 this time. So 9 says, reveal, resolve the status ability of the rightmost. Okay. It's another Explosive Pod, so it's back. So we have to immediately remove a counter. So we're just going to attack with the Bastion Badger this turn. The Bastion Badger has 2 targets. Either the Bastion Badger can attack the Explosive Pods and hope after we charm it, or we can attack the Vine Whip and trade into the Vine Whip. I'm not actually sure what we should do here. In theory, the explosive pods is going to attack us next turn. And if we have no units on the table, that's acceptable. So we can maybe just like pass and wait for it to pop off with Saria. Because next turn I have a 1 token, we can pass. Next turn I have no tokens and it fires. So I think actually we can just pass here. So we're going to use the Bastion Badger. We're not going to charm anything. And for our main action, we're going to use the Bastion Badger to try and attack the Vine Whip. So we're attacking for 1. Vine Whip has 1 health. We want a 9 or sorry, 8 or fewer. We have a 2. Perfect. So the Vine Whip knocks out, blood 1. And then the Badger succumbs to counter. That didn't feel pain. All right. Explosive pods. Now there's nothing to reveal, so explosive pods has to attack. So it's just going to hit us in the face. It will be exhausted. We take 2 damage, not a big deal. We have so much health. And even when it's exhausted, its text box won't be blanked because it's a special text box. So all we need to do here is pass, and then the pods go off, and then this thing will just constantly pass so we can build whatever board state. So ideally with Saria, we draw into something that's good that we can play. So we'll exhaust her. We'll spend a class die. We'll draw a card. It's a willpower, which like, nah, we don't need that. But we're not going to mill the top of the deck because we know it's a 1 blood. And maybe we're fine with a 1 blood. Maybe we just want a 2 blood because we can knock it out with willpower. So let's just mill. So we'll just do Saria's text to mill. So again, milling won't actually matter, but you may force them to discard the top card on the top of their deck. So we get rid of a horrific gaze. Good. Explosive pods fires. That's good. I appreciate that these expansions play in a serviceable standalone precon. Yeah, they do. They definitely do. And I've liked that a lot. I think that's really important for a lot of games to be like the precons are playable and you have a fair match. Explosive pods. Okay, so we remove the counter, deal 2 damage to all units the opponent player controls. That's none. There's nothing it can do. It can exhaust. So this is round 3. So round 4, the Blight will go first. We do, in theory, want to knock this thing out because otherwise we're going to take some damage. I think for 4 dice, we can knock it out. I don't think we want to willpower it. I want to hold willpower because willpower, if we get this Blight down to 5 health, the willpower will just win. But like willpower and farewell will just do up to 4 damage guaranteed next round. So we want to hold them. So I think the Badger will do it, right? We'll summon the Badger. We'll exhaust, we'll spend 2, which is a bit expensive, but we can still spawn the Shimmerwing, which is all we want. We'll place a Bastion Badger here. Then you may raise a charm die. You know what I think is the most charming thing? Is like a lot of these cards make sense in different contexts, right? Like it's a deck where the pieces have different value, but not no value, but different value in different decks, right? Like we talked about the summon Shimmerwing ability is not amazing in the last deck we played because drawing a card isn't super important because you have limited dice. But then you play in Saria where you have willpower and then it's like, wait, that's a really strong card because just like drawing a card makes your willpower do more damage. And so you can like draw up. I think that's really cool as that the decks are built with like flexible shells of a lot of pieces that work and give different synergy points. And it's up to you to appreciate the synergy points. We can summon a Shimmerwing and we actually can knock this out with the snake bites. So that's actually a really good use of our hand. Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay. It goes. Not going to do nothing. It's back to us. We are going to just play a snake bite. I mean, I guess. I don't think I've ever played 3 against a Chimera yet, but we are focusing this as a side action. So we put this in here and then we get to use this ability because it has whatever this side, it's called subdue technically. I don't know, but we'll put that there. Now we legally have to take a main action. If we don't take a main action, we'll pass and 2 players have consecutively passed. So we're just going to exhaust one of our snake bites to deal 1 damage to target unit, the charm die on it. We also may instead deal 1 damage to a Phoenixborn whose owner has no cards in the pile, but that's not real. So we'll do 1 damage to this thing. That's our main. It's their action. Back to us. We'll do the second snake bite. We'll knock at the pods. Kind of cool, slow engine to get all 3 of these. So blood 1 down to 6. So we're not going to take any more red rains, which is nice. We have 1 extra die. Oh yeah, Shimmerwing. So back to us. We'll do the summon Shimmerwing. So we'll keep it in the middle so it's maybe safe to blood. So we'll draw a card. That's another dealer's choice. I mean, we're just going to throw out all 3. These cards have a similar art theme, which is nice. Oh, excuse me. We summon... Oh, we do draw a card. That was that. We summoned the Shimmerwing. So we used all our dice, which is something to be celebrated. And last action, we'll just attack with the Bastion Badger for face. We cannot make this do more because we can't put a charm die on the Blight. So it'll just do 1. Down to 5. Okay, so when our turn starts, the most damage we can do is 1 from this board. So we're not going to have lethal in turn as soon as the round flips, but this is pretty good. You can also charm and let snake bites chew it up. Yeah, exactly. That's what we ended up doing. I think that's way better for sure. Okay, that's good. That was a good turn. That's it. That was round 3. So round 4, the Blight will go first. You can use a counter to remember it. Hopefully we do remember it. And then we'll just unexhaust. There's no recovery. No one's hurt. We don't have to add any red rains because we cleared the table. This is unexhausted. We will fill this back up. So it will deck out. because we did a bit of milling, but 2. Also, mill seems better when you play on a higher difficulty because there's more aspect cards, and the more aspect cards, the more aggressively it goes through its own deck. So technically, because it went through its deck, we are meant to like flip this one card that says exhausted, and if we deck it out again, it'll actually be exhausted, and there's downsides to it. But obviously, the game is over sooner than that. So you have to kind of like close your eyes when you shuffle because you can see the top. So we'll do a cut, and then we'll add 1, 2. Okay. So all we have to do is do 5 damage to face. We roll our dice now. I might be slightly off in the timing here, but it doesn't matter in this context. Judgment, Willpower, and Dealer's Choice were the most important cards for PvP. Man, Dealer's Choice just seems so weird in this, but I could see it being very good. Like 1 die to exhaust a unit is good, I'm guessing, as a side action, because then you can attack right away. All right, these stacked. We have 2 power die. Actually, pretty good roll. It's okay. Probably average. 2, 5, 3. Yeah, this seems very much average. All right. In terms of what we want in our hand, Willpower guarantees us to do some damage. Farewell is a bit expensive, but it does guarantee to do some damage, and all we need to do is damage. I'm not going to hold on to Dealer's Choice. We'll just throw those out, and we'll draw 5. Another Farewell. So again, if we just knock out 2 blood, 2 blood, 1 blood, we win. We can go face at some point in the middle. We also want to use our Shimmerwing. Shimmerwing also does more damage when it comes in. Rose Gardener and a Chimera. Pretty good hand. Actually, really good hand. That's a very flexible hand, I think. All right, Chimera goes first. 11. 11 is not the highest you can do here. So 11 is attach a Bleed Conjuration to the opponent's leftmost unit, our beautiful Badger, one more time. And then we reveal. Overgrowth. Okay, that's a scary one. I'm assuming we're just going to ping that off with Willpower. Again, we have 12 health, and that's a big thing. Is like we can take so many attacks to the face and not care. But I could see us just Willpowering that. I mean, why not? We don't have to stress this. So we'll spend a basic. We'll do our extra Saria card, which does 4 damage, which knocks out the Overgrowth, which does blood 2. 1 goes under Bastion Badger. Yeah. Yeah, so next turn, if we play the Chimera, we should have lethal in a turn, I'm pretty sure. We'll roll. Okay. 11 again. Oh no, the poor Badger. So the Badger's getting bled again. So the Badger will die this round. We flip this. It's a Vampiric Roots. So this is the one where if we it defeats something, it's bad. Okay. So this is a bit of a big 50-50. If yeah, this is fine. This is fine. So main action, we can't get a charm dice for a main action. So we're just going to do side action. We're going to do the charm magic card. And so we're going to put that on here. Perfect. So that's there. And then we're just going to attack it with the Bastion Badger. Now the problem is if the Blight of the Neverset gets in the way, it is not battling that. So they won't knock out the Vampiric Roots. But we are going to attack the Vampiric Roots for 3 because we have the text. Vampiric Roots won't heal because it's not attacking. Or for the game, Layla, how's it going? It looks great. It's really quite good. It is notably very good. It's always been great. And like these white box borders, like the open art frames, like this is, it's a treat. It's always been really, really good. Very colorful too. All right. As much as like a lot of these cards have been stars so far this night in terms of the art. Low number, 10. Okay, that's a bad number. So the Bastion Badger unfortunately does not hit the Vampiric Roots. Instead, it goes face. And this actually has text that can be relevant. So we're going to go face only for 1. But that means we should have lethal next turn. We just have to do a Shimmerwing combo, which takes us 2 actions. We do 1. The Bastion Badger dies. There's probably a more direct way to win, I'll be honest. But I think we're on a good track. All right, we roll. We have no side action. 3. 3 is attack of Able if not reveal. So the Vampiric Roots is going to attack. Vampiric Roots is attacking for 4 into our Shimmerwing. We're going to say no because many reasons. And we're just going to use Saria and we're going to block with Saria. Actually, it's only attacking for 3 because it's charmed, but Saria will take 3. So we're down to 9. You can exhaust your Phoenixborn once to interrupt an attack, once per round. So that's good. But now that means definitely we have to reveal this. So how do we win? We can play the Chimera Charmer and just attack. I think the more fun way to win is we have to hope this doesn't target. Okay, wait, actually, no. My play to win is to summon the second Shimmerwing. And then with the Shimmerwing, no. Why are we doing this? We just play Farewell. Okay, no. We just play Farewell, we win. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, we play Farewell. It knocks the Vampiric Roots. It takes 2 damage. We win. We're going to do that. What I wanted to do, which would have been foolish, is summon the second Shimmerwing. Because that will put the Shimmerwing here. Let me cook. So draw a card. We get an Arrogance. That's nice if we want to go face, I guess. It summons another Shimmerwing. And so these Shimmer Wings are on the table. Now they don't do anything, but if the thing revealed here attacks the leftmost or the rightmost, our whole combo falls apart. We're still going to risk it because we have a guaranteed win next turn anyways. We'll just see what happens, but I want to win off the turn deflame combo. All right, basic and 4. 4 is reveal attack with an able. So if this attacks the left or the right and does more than 2 damage, it does. Okay, bummer. All right, so our combo fails. The opposing player's Phoenixborn cannot guard and is considered to be exhausted, so it knocks out the Shimmer Wing. I mean, we had a chance there. It could have attacked face. It could have not attacked, I guess. But it knocks out the Shimmer Wing. Okay, whatever. We'll just farewell. We'll play farewell. Basic side, we'll spend 3 class die. We'll discard a target unit opponent controls with a life value of X, which is 3, and then we'll discard 3 cards on the top of the deck. So, wait, am I playing this wrong? Does discard not defeat? If we discard this, do we do blood too? Wait, hold on. Does this do damage? What happens when you discard a unit? Like, what is blood value? Destroyed or discarded? Okay, no, it works. It's fine. When a aspect is destroyed or discarded from the battlefield, place a number of wound tokens on the Chimera. So we're gonna discard Vampiric Roots, which puts 2 blood on the Blight. So we win. Got it. Again, we played that a bit silly at the end because we were within reach. We could have played a better, like, more control. But yeah, farewell does that. We technically mill cards off the top of the deck. 1, 2, 3. Maybe 3 dice for 3 mil and 3 damage is good. I can't tell. I really can't tell. I have no reference points, but I know 1 for 2 is like good for burst. Maybe 1 for 1 and a mil is good. That's it. That is, again, difficulty of standard level 2. I do want to say there's a couple difficulties. There's 6 different difficulties that come in the box. I do not know what the grading is because this is standard 2. Standard 3 is the same, but with another aspect. But then you can go to heroic, and heroic is 5, 6, 7, but you also have 5 more health. I'll be honest, 5 more health doesn't seem like a big change because these games are not that close where it's like, oh, I can only do 3 more damage. It's usually like, oh, you win by getting control of the battlefield. So like, I do think a bigger difference is the amount of cards, but all I'm saying is like, I think the difficulty change between what we played and this, where 5 more health doesn't feel like a big difference, right? So like heroic 1 seems to be about the same amount of difficulty as standard 2. So I don't know what the conversion is. Again, you can build decks, and I imagine you can build better decks than this. There's a bunch of cards we draw that we always throw out. That's probably not a good thing for your deck, but we're still able to do stuff. And I think that's actually like a really big thing about like having these summon cards is that you always are guaranteed a minimum amount of value on every turn. So you can't just draw a hand and super brick, which I do appreciate that in card games like Marvel Champions, let alone this game too. Hey, Johns, love the Ashes content. This game is much less well known than it should be. It's very good. It's very cool. I have very little experience playing PvP. It's been a long time, but again, last time we did the stream was 3 weeks ago where we played the new box. And mind you, there's a new Dragonborn coming out in the next month or so. And I had such a good time that after the stream, I FOMO kind of kicked in and I went online and I picked up everything that I was missing. The only thing that I wasn't able to pick up is literally time dice. I don't own time dice as much as I have so many cards that need time dice. And I actually do have the time reference card, which came with Echo, I found out. Increasing the number of aspects snowballs quickly. It does snowball, that's for sure. Because if you don't clear them, you get these, which means the ultimate fires. So you can kind of find yourself further behind. But like, I don't think increasing the health total really changes that much, right? Like usually you're in a winning spot where you could do 5 extra damage. You could do 10 extra damage. But yeah, aspects definitely do scale up in a slightly less than linear way or more than linear way, right? That's cool. This is the Blight of Neverset. So we technically saw both of the aspects. I think we saw every single card. We did go through the whole deck. So I think we saw all the cards. I don't think there's anything that slipped through. Again, these decks I think are just 3 1s, 3 2-bloods. So the more you play it, the more that you'll be able to like have an idea what each card is. And this is not something we did, but something that the official rules say you can do, as much as you can do whatever you want right now, is you can shuffle a mixture of cards into the Chimera's decks. So you can have some Bloom decks, some Thorn cards, some Bloom aspects, some Thorn aspects. I do think you probably want to keep the deck to the same amount of 1s and 2s. Probably you have to, but you can make a mixture, and that's actually kind of pretty interesting. Maybe it's less focused, and the more focused it is, the more sharp the angles are, but it might be a bigger surprise to be like, instead of being 1 of 3 1s, it can be 1 of 6 1s. So it's harder to see the future. I could see some of that. The time dice are in Plaid Hat's store right now. Oh, Cable, thank you. Yeah, the issue though with Plaid Hat's store is that the shipping as a Canadian sucks. It's not good. So it only makes sense if you're ordering a lot of stuff. So I need to find like a local store that has them. Yeah, the shipping just from like the States to Canada it's bad, and it's only got worse in the last year, right? Yeah, more health makes the game longer. Yeah, but like usually if you're in control with the board state, you continue to be in control. I do think that's something I like from the Dragonborn is that when it advances, you usually lose board state when it's like, behavior changes. Chimera's pretty sick. I'm hyped to go back and watch the first game too. I'm wicked down to see you go through more games of different Phoenixborn against different Chimeras. Yeah, me too. And like I was so stoked to find out because everyone was like very encouraging. And last time that we did this on stream, where people were like, "You got to check out the other Chimeras," because the first one was unfortunately the least exciting. Which I think is going to be the same case for the first Dragonborn. It like teaches you the rules, but like the Dragonborn in the core that we played in Ashes Reborn was not incredibly exciting. This is so much cooler, where there's tokens, things interact in a different order. This text is more relevant. Like I like it a lot. I think we're definitely playing more. And again, we have a whole bunch of them. They're all here. They're sealed. Like we'll play more of these for sure. On that note, what time is it? We've been streaming for about 3 hours. Yeah, just 3 hours. That's sick. Firstly, thanks so much for hanging out. If you're watching this live, thank you. If you're watching the VOD also, I hope you were well. We're gonna try and make this a thing where let's say every 3 weeks, maybe once a month, we'll drop by on a Tuesday evening and do this. Apologies, I probably should have a better way to communicate when we're doing that, but I'm not a real big social media guy for better or for worse. Maybe I'll make a YouTube community post. I don't know how to do this, but we'll probably come back every couple Tuesdays and do something like this and just go deeper and deeper. It's really easy because we just have to unsleeve the cards and we'll sleeve the cards, get them out of the box, and it's like kind of set up for you to experience, which is good. The next one I think is a lot of people's favorite. It's the Horde one, the Siege of Lord's Wall. I do want to go through them in like time order and temporal order and release order, I guess that's a better way to say it, because I want to experience how this game evolved. And the next one, I'm not sure what sort of dice it is. Maybe it's the sacrificial dice, but it has all the siege cards in it. It has like the lady who like summons mounts, the sort of like Valkyrie character. She seems absurdly strong. So I've heard good things about the Siege of Lord's Wall, so that will be the next one, maybe in a couple weeks from now. If you appreciate content like this and you want to take a second to leave a like on the video, I promise you that helps a heck of a lot to recommend this in the algorithm. I'm not sure how much content there is on YouTube about this game, but I'm hoping there should be more. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. That sort of stuff helps a heck of a lot too. Yo, saucer shaped. Yay, Ashes. Yeah, we just finished. We streamed for 3 hours, so luckily you can go back and watch. We played 2 games, which was good. But yeah, Persimmon says good night. Yeah, Persimmon, sorry, the cuddle session might be over, but thanks so much for joining both of y'all. We'll be back on Friday afternoon. We'll be streaming Marvel Champions, which is usually what we do around this place. If you want to learn that game, it's pretty great. It's exciting time. New box comes out next month. And I do think the new Ashes box probably comes out in the next month or so. So we'll see. Siege is awesome. Divine Magic versus Zombie. Oh, it's Divine Magic. Yeah. I have no doubt I'm going to be into Divine Magic. I like Paladin characters, so it's going to be great. And yeah, it's a zombie apocalypse with a lot of like small minions. I'm into that as well. So it'll be fun. We'll be back in like 2 or 3 weeks, maybe sooner. We'll see. But again, thanks so much for hanging out. We'll catch you in the next one. Take care, y'all.